across the plains. Hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing out there on a Friday evening? What's up, Chill? What's up, Jimmy from Philly in the house? Simon? Anybody else chime in? Got to get the hellos out. Say yo, thank you for being here. What's up, Dr. Jade? How was your week?
Oh, pretty calm. What about you, Rich?
Pretty calm. Work my ass. I'll tell you. What's up, Anglo? Good to see you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between you and my. I didn't work my ass off this week.
Yeah, well, you're retired, you smart ass. But yeah.
Yeah, but I'm busier now.
No, I know.
Some days
I worked a lot of hours this week,
Yeah,
man.
but I don't work. Yeah, I'm retired.
Yeah,
So yeah, so here we are, another lovely Friday. It's been pretty warm around here. How's it been around you?
Yeah, same way. Except, are you getting the gift from the Canadians?
We're getting Western Slope haze.
Yeah, we're getting the smell of the smoke. Yesterday we're in purple. Today it's a little bit better, but we were in purple.
We have haze over the mountains. I think that's mostly from the Western Slope. So just the Western Rockies. There's some fires. I don't think we're getting it from Canada all the way down here.
Oh yeah, that's cool. At least you're not putting up with it, but we are. We're getting it. Yeah, there's like 800 fires. There's some in the United States that are contributing to the smoke and all that, but there's like 800 fires at last count, and they said that they cannot stop them all until it snows. How's that? Until it snows.
That
I got a story on it. We're going to sanction them for
I saw something about that. Yeah,
mismanaging their forest. They're going to say it's climate change. No, it isn't. If it was climate change, why aren't all the others? You know, why aren't all the other states bursting into flames every single season, right? You say, if Trump doesn't affect arrests this coming week, then I'm done. All right. We need arrests of prominent people that were involved in election fraud. Yeah. Well, he just told them, Jim, to now go after them. So now, because they just got all the data, I think Tulsi, she gave out a lot already on Obama and Brennan and all that, and there's hearings, like they're going to be charged. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. They're going to be charged. I don't know when, but they're going to be charged. But
well,
let's go over what's that.
I think, I shared with you this week. Jack Smith may be on the chopping block. He may be one of the first.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to be one of the first because, and you know why it is? A lot of people don't know this. I talked about it here before, but a lot of people don't know this. But Jack Smith was an assistant U.S. attorney in New Orleans. And the U.S. attorney, he was the top assistant U.S. attorney as far as case closures, right? And wins. And that's because he's a criminal, right? He fabricates evidence. What he's known for doing that, right? And so because he had a 9-0 reversal from the Supreme Court. But anyway, so the U.S. attorney was retiring, and so what a president usually does is they give it to the top U.S. attorney or assistant U.S. attorney, and the president bypassed him because he knew he was a criminal prosecutor. He was not good, and he knew
Scumbag?
it. Yeah, scumbag. And that president was Donald Trump. And so he's had a hard on for Trump ever since. So when they they should have never offered it to him. They say, well, he fits the doctrine of special prosecutor. Yeah, because he didn't work in the federal government at the time. He quit out of spite under Trump and went over to The Hague and worked over there, pulled wings off of flies over there for years. And so they knew that. I think that's why Merrick Garland chose him, because he knew he's a scumbag prosecutor, right? So
he gives scumbags a bad name.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go. Let's see. Let's take a look at what we got for this week. A lot of news this week. So Trump says China obtained over 200 million U.S. voter files, declassifies documents on election fraud. Now, the libnuts are already out there trying to like downgrade this. You know, that's pretty bad, but they're trying to downgrade it.
You see how much he looks like Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah. Every which way they can, they're trying to downgrade this story. So after blacking out Trump's election speech, Aunt Mary and Uncle John are deleting NBC, ABC, and CNN because they refuse to air it.
Yep. And
you know what that means? That they were afraid of what Trump was going to say or show, possibly, because they were in on it. They were in on it. Come on.
Well, did you
they collaborated with them by going along with it. Well, Donald Trump always says without evidence that it was a shit ton of evidence. No judge allowed him to present it. Yeah, he didn't have standing. It was a presidential election. He was the president. He didn't have standing. Excuse me. Sure.
Yeah, did you see what they said about it? They said, "Oh, he's known. We don't want to show it because President Trump is known for repeatedly lying, and we don't want to promote that."
Yeah, and you know what his lies are? His lies are, yeah, I paid the guy $1,000 to do that. Good job. CNN will come back. You know, our investigative reporters looked into this, and that guy, after taxes, only got $897. Therefore, Trump lied about paying him $1,000. The guy didn't get $1,000. That's technically true. So Trump lied. They have this like 400,000 lies. Not a single one of them was a lie. He exaggerates a lot because he's from Queens. That's what they do in Queens. It's not a lie. It's exaggeration.
Yeah, they're so bad. If Trump said that he was wearing a red tie, somebody'd come out and say, well, that's a lie. It was more like a maroon.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Here you go. Now I finally understand him. Tyrus on Donald Trump. It's a very good video. Very good video. I can't wait to play it. Enemy of the people. Trump unloads on mainstream media outlets who are too cowardly to even air his words. Here we go. The vital importance of gobbledygook in promoting leftism. That's a good one. Trump calls on the FBI to investigate significant evidence of fraud in Michigan 2020 election. Trump see that? He called on the FBI to go there, just like they did in Atlanta, in Fulton, right? Fulton County, Atlanta. And there's already been arrests. of those people. So there are arrests happening. Trump declassifies election documents. Here's what we need to know so far. Okay. Or what we know so far. So here's why Fauci can't chicken out and plead the fifth during his upcoming hearing.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, because, well, you know what they're going to do? Because here's what, how do you think they're going to play this? Why do you think he can't?
Wait till we get to the story.
Well, no, I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why is because they're going to say, okay, you got a pardon. Therefore, you're not in jeopardy. So we're going to ask you questions. And if you lie or you don't answer, we're going to throw your ass in jail. I think that works better for them than because they got all the evidence. I think that works better for, and that's just my speculation. I didn't read the story, but that's what I believe. So I think it works better than saying, going to the Supreme Court and saying, did the auto pen actually write a pardon? And is it valuable? You know, I think that's what's going on. If the government was a company, it would have faced lawsuits for data breach of millions of voters. That's the Chinese thing. Trump exposes how the deep state purposely hid 2020 Chinese election interference from him. They did. They hid it from him because they wanted him to lose. Former Marine and congressional candidate arrested after saying Trump must be killed. These fucking people are crazy, man. GOP lawmakers threaten Canada with sanctions for failing to prevent wildfires and smoke choking the U.S. I could watch Pete Hegseth torment whiny, frothy-mouthed American haters all day long. All day, every day.
Sweet.
Yeah. Is Joe Biden's memoir his latest revenge against the Democrat Party? Because remember what they did to him.
Okay, everybody put up your hands if you believe he actually wrote that memoir.
Not at all.
Not a word.
Arrest will never happen. Unfortunately, rules for me, but not for the. That is true. But there's, like I said, Chuck, or Chill, there's already been arrests and a conviction. One of the women down in Atlanta got arrested for election fraud. And I don't know how much time she's getting, but she was convicted. There's one of them anyway. So
yeah, I want to see them all in orange jumpsuits.
Oh, I do too. All right. Here's how much foreign cash reaches U.S. universities and why it matters. Ready? Democrats can't stop blaming Trump for their policy failures. They blame him for everything. She just ordered her state to wear masks because of the smoke. Here we go again. You know, they're going to say, well, there's this. You heard Taco Bell is involved with I think it's lettuce that has some disease in it. I don't know what it is. It's not one of the usual ones, you know, but I think they're going to try and say, oh, you can't go out. You can't eat this. You know, you got to wear masks. You know, it's a bunch of horse shit. So the left is still afraid of talking to us about 2020. Of course they are, because they stole the election. Come on. Spencer Pratt.
Here's the question.
Uh-huh.
If a tree falls in the woods and nobody is around to hear it, how is it Trump's fault?
Right. Right. Exactly right. Yeah. So let's see. Spencer Pratt mercilessly mocks Karen Bass after her absurd explanation for homeless meth use. Trump unleashes election intel. China stole 220 million files. It's a better story, so I put it down there. MS Now, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves this week, blames MAGA for Mamdani erasing Italians. Can you believe this shit? You heard about that story?
Yeah, I didn't hear about the MAGA angle, but I heard about
I didn't hear the MAGA angle either. Yeah. Here's Amy Coney Barrett. We need courage, not capitulation. Right. Peggy Flanagan wants to make kids whole. She can start with kids harmed by Democrat policies. Here we go. Will the real Megyn Kelly please stand up? I want to see that. The fight against socialism is and always. That was it. That was the headline. Todd Blanche could never be as partisan as wingman Eric Holder. Yeah, Todd Blanche is going to be the next AG.
Talk about sleazebag Eric Holder.
Eric Holder, he said, I'm Barack's wingman.
Yeah.
And then he was held in contempt of Congress for refusing to hand over the Fast and Furious documents that he lied about. That was a program that George Bush started. No, it wasn't.
Okay, of course.
George Bush did something like it, but when George Bush found out that the Mexicans knew that they were putting radio wires in, like transmitting wires into the guns, they ended the program. 2 years later, he starts a program, says, well, I didn't start, it was George Bush. Then when they say, well, no, you actually started. No, I knew, I learned about it like everybody else in the news. And I said, well, what's this memo creating it with your signature down below? And so because he wouldn't turn over the documents, they held him in contempt. He went right across the street to an NAACP. What was it? It was an NAACP summit meeting or something. So he shows his 2 pieces of valid ID. They let him in. There's a reason I said that. And he goes up on stage. Of course they let him in. He's Eric Holder, right? So he goes up on stage and he says, yeah, I was just held in contempt of court. You know why? Because I'm the first black attorney general. So he made race out of it. That was a real Al Not So Sharpton move, and there's Al Not So Sharp.
And of course, for contempt of Congress, like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon went to jail, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Wait a minute.
Steve Bannon, yeah.
What did I say? Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. He went.
Yeah, they both went. Yeah, they both went.
Eric Holder went to jail, of course, just like them. Oh,
right.
Wait a minute. No, he didn't.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna start. So here we go. All right. So let me.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Trump says China obtained over 200 million U.S. voter files, declassifies documents on election fraud. All right. So President Donald Trump has announced that communist China, and you know what? He just canceled his trip today and called all cabinet members to the White House. So something's going on. Maybe Xi didn't like what he said. Well, tough shit. He announced that communist China committed a massive election security breach. And guess who told us that 4 or 5 years ago? Who told us that? It was Mike Lindell. He told us that. People say, I didn't like the movie. Yeah, I love the movie because it pointed out what Trump just found out and exposed. He committed massive election security breach, bribed U.S. journalists, manipulated our elections, and colluded with treacherous Americans to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. They brought over thousands of illegal ballots. They created them. 220 million. That's how many voters' registration data and the Chinese communists stole, Trump said. Now think about that. You could have voted for Trump, but then you really voted for Kamala. Or, I'm sorry, for Hillary. For Hillary. Because they might have changed it. That's what the Smartmatic software allows you to do on a Dominion machine. Fact checkers, I'm just saying what was written publicly. Dominion's not even around anymore. And there are, I think they should give the millions or the billions back to the people they sued. And there are at least 278,000 non-citizens on voter rolls, but the real number is almost certainly much higher, the president said. The system is so broken, Trump argued, that it's not defensible. Yet they're defending it. There's not a thing. They keep saying this shit about the SAVE Act. Do you know that illegal aliens voting is so rare? It doesn't mean. I keep writing to him, dipshit. It's not about illegal aliens. It's about stopping Democrats from cheating. That's what it's about. It's not about the illegals. It's about the Democrats. Now you have to prove that you're a citizen when you register to vote. There are also hundreds of thousands of dead voter names on the rolls. That's what he's talking about. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. Right. We're not going to play it because I just read what he said. Trump's Thursday primetime speech was indeed about election integrity. And according to him, the deep state intelligence agencies during his first term ran a shadow government to hide information on Chinese Communist Party meddling in our elections. He said last night, that the CIA knew it and that now they've uncovered memos to each other saying, yeah, we're not going to do a thing about it. We want them to keep doing it. They wanted China to keep interfering with the election. Can you believe this shit? In 2020. Trump even said that his second administration has found burn bags, right, we know about this, meant to be burned under the Obama administration with crucial evidence supporting criminal charges against powerful former and current politicians and bureaucrats. Now, here's the thing. What Dan Bongino said that they figured was that there were still a lot of agents that were not turned, that were not turned into commies, that were, going after, enemies, political enemies. And he said he believes that they kept those burn bags and put them where they put them so that they could be found by the Trump administration. He believes that's what happened because they were burn bags. You're supposed to burn them to get rid of all the evidence, right? All that shit was in those burn bags. That's how former DNI Tulsi Gabbard was able to find it all. It's crazy, right? Electronic voting machines and ballot counting machines were incredibly vulnerable, and the feds knew it but hid it, Trump accused. The United States adversaries, including at minimum Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, can compromise U.S. elections, he said. The trust of the American people was lost says he urged passage of crucial election integrity. He wants to get the SAVE Act going. In mid-2018, the CCP's policy was to leverage anti-Trump sentiments to force him out. They used COVID, what they gave us, and Chinese money funded anti-Trump media blitz, as Trump said. China also influenced the 2020 election results he declared. Now, I think another country would declare war on a country that did something like that. You know, the Democrats always say, the Russians interfered. No. Hillary just lied about that. And you guys ran with it. Now, we know now that China really did interfere, and they didn't even cover the event. Quote, the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, Trump said. Bad actors manipulated electronic vote totals. Remember, it was the Mike Lindell movie. It was showing from Venezuela, from Rome, came out from Rome, in Italy, and where was it? Some from Spain, mostly from China, right? Russia. You know, they were all in on it. Can you imagine? The fucking Democrat Party had all the bad actors in the world helping them cheat. Unreal. Can you imagine? And they're still going to be out there. Russia helped him win. The FBI obtained evidence on just one voter registration operation in Michigan that included fraudulent ballot signing, submission of ballots without real individuals, and gift cards offered depending on how many false ballots each person submitted. So they were paying people, probably with DNC money, right? They were paying people to create false ballots. It's such horseshit, right? Trump administration is already reaching out to compromise states to ensure that future elections can never be bought, never be hacked. Look, they've been doing it for over 50 years. They're not going to stop now. You know, they're not going to end it now, right? It's just unreal. Hey, what's up, Bobby? What's going on, man? Pillow Man strikes again. Yeah, I know. Hey, what's up, Commander? Sorry, guys. I was reading. I didn't see. Hey, what's up? Hey, Gina, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, this is crazy. So let's see. Just because President Trump said it doesn't mean he staged anything, bigot. Exactly. I know. That's what the lib nuts are like. That's what they're arguing on Facebook. I have a field day with these people. Yeah, we can close that out because we know how the rest of it goes. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see. The hacker convention, DEF CON. Oh, really? Hacked the Dominion. Oh, yeah. In under a minute. Yeah, at DEF CON. I always wanted to go to a DEF CON, but they were usually held in Vegas, and I didn't want to go to Vegas. So, okay. So what else we got? Let me see. Bobbity, Jimmy from Philly. Jimmy from Philly, everyone. All right, so next one. Let's go. Let's go down to here. This is a really good video. I want you to watch this. Okay, hold on. Let me bring that up. I'm going to bring it up. Okay. All right, ready? Here we go. This is great. This is actually good.
This is my grandpa. Most people know him as Donald Trump, the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about how you fight.
Former President Donald Trump made a surprise appearance on Gutfeld last night.
Listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage.
How about this? Do you wear pajamas? I don't.
I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about how you fight.
Look at all those people.
Talk about CNN.
All through the campaigns. I voted for you because I like policy. I didn't know you as a man. And I think when you don't understand what a man fights for, you can get lost, especially with all the noise we're seeing from fake news, etc. Created these pictures from you.
Dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who can stop them.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous.
So Gutfeld show's over. Cameras are off. We go backstage, and I expected you to be like every politician or anybody I've ever celebrity I've bodyguarded for, and you met my family, and you talked to my daughter. Mm-hmm. My daughter is 10 years old. Her name's Georgie. You guys talked for 20 minutes. If nobody knew, you could have been her grandfather. And you were talking about her horses and her dreams. And I was sitting there and I was like, I have been so wrong about this man because I never understood why you fight the way you fight. You're a family man.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. And they want to silence me. True. They want to silence me because I will not let them silence you.
In that moment, when you stood up and you yelled, fight, 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 again, that's where I'm seeing the Father. It wasn't about you. It was letting your family know you're okay, and you're more concerned about the people.
Watch out.
Yeah. Fight, fight, fight.
But in the end, they're not after me. They're after you, and I'm just standing in their way, right?
Standing
We
in the
know
way.
that.
I am the granddaughter of Donald Trump. I'm speaking today to share the side of my grandpa that people don't often see. To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking. He always wants to know how we're doing in school. When I made the high honor roll, he printed it out to show his friends how proud he was of me. And, obviously, he sets the bar pretty high, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll catch him. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot, and I just wanted to know if he was okay. It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing.
You know, I can't wait that one day I'm able to tell my grandchildren that the President of the United States stole my seat. And Mr. President, if you're going to sit, oh wow! But, thank you for WrestleMania 4 and 5, by the way. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. But if you're going to sit in that chair, if you're going to do the Tyrus experience, you have to do it right because you are the people's champion, Mr. Trump.
Wow!
And on behalf of all the people of America, this is
Yeah.
I like that. Now I'm really like. That's a real. That's a good one.
No, that's the man who makes all the professional ones.
Beautiful, yeah.
He calls me during the middle of the school day to ask how my golf game is going and tells me all about his. But then I have to remind him that I'm in school and I'll have to call him back later.
Yeah.
When we play golf together, if I'm not on his team, he'll try to get inside of my head. And he's always surprised that I don't let him get to me. But I have to remind him I'm a Trump too.
Yep. Right. That's pretty cool, huh? I thought so. Yeah,
She's pretty cool.
Hey, what's up, Linda? Good to see you. I see it's a hell of a thing being high functioning retards. Yeah. Yeah, it is true. All right, let's see what we got. What's the next one I can do? Let me bring it up. All right. So, enemy of the people here on low. Let's do this one. It's called The Vital Importance of Gobbledygook in Promoting Leftism. This is going to be fun. Who did? Oh, Perplexity AI did it. And David Strum. Okay. By now, everybody with a brain knows that leftists speak in jargon, define the meaning of words, and often base their arguments on academic theories that make little sense. It's true. What makes those tactics effective is attaching ideas that people find naturally appealing, like fairness and justice, to ideas that are basically nonsensical. Emotionally powerful words lend a sheen of credibility to ideas that otherwise offend common sense. Because gender activists make demonstrably false claims about biology, they've had to invent a whole new framework to justify persisting in delusion. Trans people aren't making false claims. They're simply communicating alternative knowledge claims. It's true. Let's see what the rest he said. Critics of gender ideology aren't simply disputing factual claims made by trans people. They're perpetuating epistemic violence.
What the hell is epistemic?
Epistemic violence. I don't know. I thought he meant systemic, but okay. If someone, you got to look that one up.
I'll look it up while you read.
Yeah, if someone ever claims something you said is false, just accuse them of committing epistemic violence against you. Win every argument. That's how you get from a simple statement of fact that we are born male or female and that human beings are defined by an immutable sex binary, to trans activists screaming violence and genocide. You're trying to kill me by saying there's only two genders. Leftists believe that existence itself is a construct of the mind. So challenging an oppressed person's image of reality is an act of violence and erasing their existence. Seizing control of vocabularies and redefining emotionally laden concepts like justice is an extraordinarily powerful move. If you can unmoor people from common sense and common definitions, that's queer theory, by the way, you can capture the underlying emotional resonance attached to those words. Who is against justice or fairness, after all? Well, now anything with the word justice after it, it's a commie thing. You know, social justice, medical justice, healthy justice, you know, and turn it to your advantage. So let's see.
Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely no problem with using the word pregnant women. I use it myself.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
A transgender person can.
That's not a biological woman. Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
I would reiterate, we
it's
take
ridiculous.
Care. She's right. It's so ridiculous. This tactic, though, only works on certain people. And the irony is that those people are the ones who put unusual stock in the importance of words, intellectuals who are also primed to be least attached to common sense. That's why you find that leftism, the left and leftist language, is the province of the educated classes and is hardly appealing to working class people who are inclined to trust their common sense much more than a finely crafted argument filled with gobbledygook. It's true. If the cultural elite is most susceptible to this rhetorical strategy, academics are by far the most susceptible. Gobbledygook turns out to be catnip to the people who style themselves intellectuals because it ushers them into a club where normal people won't go. It serves as a kind of secret knowledge. For the same reason, the language play is repulsive to what we can loosely describe as the working class, for whom hard-won experience and common sense are more reliable guides than the fancy but often misleading assertions that come from the academic's secret knowledge. This is the difference between objective knowledge and performative truth. Let's see. That's why the new crop of DSA candidates, the commies, you know what? Communists are just socialists without the guns yet. They didn't get their guns yet, right? So this DSA crop, they're communists. So I'll start over. That's why this new crop of DSA candidates' worst reception is with those whom they claim to represent, the working class and minority voters. They do like hell, right? So El Said, there you go, claims to speak for the downtrodden. He really speaks to the privileged and overeducated because he speaks their language. The left relies on divorcing words' meaning from reality, appropriating concepts that everybody tends to agree are good and pouring new concepts into the old words. That's not possible when the reference, when the referents, the words are supposed to describe, are rooted in reality. If man means person with all the dancing in the world doesn't turn a guy into a girl. Only intellectuals can go there because they believe they have transcended common sense. And they're just a bunch of boobus Americans. That's all they are.
If you want to share my screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Epistemic.
Oh, yeah?
Of or relating to knowledge or knowing.
Oh, okay.
It's a new word for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know that word. So now I have epistemic knowledge of the word because I have knowledge of it. Therefore, it's epistemic.
Something like that.
All of us now have epistemic. You're welcome. We keep giving. Hey, what's up, Louie? Good to see you, brother. Charlie. Where is she? There you go. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Work is canceled due to Canadian fires. Yeah, I know. We already did. Hey, sorry. Commander, we already did our Canadian fire bit. We got another one to talk about. I'll do that one now. We were waiting for you because we know how you feel about this. Let's see. There it is. No, that's not the one that I was looking for. Doosh, doosh. The Canadian wildfires are out of control. There it is. This one right here. Let's go and bring it up. Share screen. Okay. So GOP lawmakers threaten Canada with sanctions for failing to prevent wildfires and smoke choking the U.S. Yeah, yesterday we had a purple level here in our town, and now it's like a little better. But yesterday was purple. That's really bad. A U.S. senator from Ohio has joined with Republican House members in neighboring Michigan in calling out Canada's alleged forest mismanagement. They're going to say it's climate change, Donald Trump, that has led to dozens of wildfires now blanketing the American Midwest and Northeast with toxic smoke. It's toxic smoke. What is it? Instead of the strong letter published this week by other House members, Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio, Republican, a close Donald Trump ally, announced Thursday that he's introducing a bill to sanction Canada and its officials over the wildfires. Quote, I'll be introducing a bill next week to sanction Canada and the responsible Canadian government officials for this atrocity. Okay. It is bad. Smoke from the blazes has not only created hazardous breathing conditions, the smoke is having a serious economic impact. Michigan is getting hit especially hard during the heat of its lucrative tourism season, when hundreds of thousands of families from the Detroit area, northern Indiana, and elsewhere head north to enjoy outdoor activities in the Great Lakes state. Breitbart News obtained a photo of the normally busy I-75 near Gaylord, Michigan. This week, its lanes typically full of cars heading north for summertime travel. I got to look at this thing burn his toe the whole time. Oh, God. Summertime travel now empty with dense haze, reducing visibility. Look at this. Yeah, it's kind of like what it looks like here, except not the bright color, whatever. Senator Moreno also posted a photo of a deserted boulevard in Cleveland, which is buildings surrounded by haze. All right. Major cities, including Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, and Minneapolis, registered dangerous air quality readings on Thursday. Moreno's office and 4 Republican House members from Michigan have criticized officials for failing to contain the wildfires and failing to invest in standard prevention methods such as forest thinning, fuel reduction, prescribed burns, that's the best one, and beefed up enforcement against arson. The same alleged disregard for forest management, particularly clear cutting and controlled burns that even Native Americans did centuries ago, was cited by President Trump repeatedly since 2018 for the wildfires in California. Quote, I've been telling them this for 3 years, but they don't want to listen, and they don't. He said a speech in 2020 speech in Pennsylvania. The environment, but they have massive fires again. He's absolutely right. They bitch and scream. They blame climate change because climate change means, well, it's not our fault. It's climate change, right? That's what they do. I see. Doesn't smell like a forest fire. Smells like rotten eggs and metallic. Funny. No one has actually shown the fires in Canada. So what are they intentionally poisoning us with? Yeah. Let me see. What's he say? Why side sleepers wake stiff?
That was one of the ads that was on.
Yeah. Bloody hell. This makes me so mad. Yeah. I bet I can get some liberals to think that a specially selected arborist is a forest doctor and can prescribe burns for dead forests here in California. Yeah, you probably can, because they'll believe it. Yeah, it's mad. It is. It's crazy, man. For fuck's sake, what a weird ad. Someone burning their toenail. I know, probably started one of the fires.
That was hard to look at.
That is funny. Hey, Robin's here. Hey, how you doing, Robin? Hey, guys, if you're watching this or later on after the stream, if you're watching it, Robin is from Courage is the Cure, and her link is in our description. She's awesome in that what she does is she does a lot of what we do, but what she does is she's from Australia, and she focuses on privacy issues, how they're being destroyed in Australia. And also, she's a big hawk on government overstepping its legal bounds. So give her a watch, give her a subscribe, please. Thank you. Good to see you. Yeah. So what's next? Here, the Pete Hegseth. I wanted to see this one. Yeah, because you know what he's doing? He's they're saying he's telling DEI there was supposed to be like, what was it, like a number of women admiral that were supposed to become admirals, and he said no, get out of here, because it was all DEI hires, and they're freaking out, the left. All right, I could watch Pete Hegseth torment whiny, frothy mouthed American haters all day long, all day, every day. That's pretty cool. Okay, when I saw Pete Hegseth's post dropping that video of those Blue Angels jets roaring over the beach, I couldn't help but grin like a kid on the 4th of July, which wasn't all that long ago. She laughs. Is it Sam J? Yeah. I like how she writes. There they were, thundering overhead in perfect formation, kicking up sand and reminding everyone within earshot exactly who runs the show. And the skies, yeah, the Blue Angels are awesome. Hegseth didn't mince words about it either. He made it crystal clear these kinds of displays aren't going anywhere anytime soon. They're staying until the troops and the American people that feel that surge of pride again. The flyovers will continue until morale improves. Now, you know where he got that from? That's awesome. Dan Bongino uses it all the time, because there was a movie years ago, I think in the 70s, where there were people working in a prison camp, right? And so they were beating them like the guards would like beat the shit out of them every single day, right? And so an announcement came out and said the beatings shall continue until morale improves. So that's like the big joke now in our land. Anyway, it ticked off all the right people. Hassanabi. Okay. If they keep this up, it's going to lead to an accident. Yeah. Okay. I don't think ruining people's beach days is going to improve morale, you freak. Yeah. Okay. Hegseth, the Flyers. All right. There you go. The Flyers will continue until they kill a whole bunch of Americans trying to relax on the beach. Wrong. Family fun at the beach with a surprise little military flyover, courtesy of Pete Hegseth. Well, he wasn't flying it, but they're so melodramatic. If only they understood why he made this joke in the first place. Sadly, none of them do. They're far more interested in clutching pearls and painting Hegseth out to be the villain. Yeah. Surprised she didn't give the reason, but I did. So, yay for me. All right. Who else did I miss? Okay. Yeah, Joe Biden, man. Here, we're going to do his story. His memoir that he probably didn't even read, let alone write. Is Joe Biden's memoir his latest revenge against the Democratic Party? Joe Biden reemerged this week. He's the thing that won't go away with a slurred, muffled video announcement. We got to watch that. I'm sorry. We got to watch that. Let's see. I got to get to it. Where is it? Here we go. Hi, I'm going to sit.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing?
Nothing.
I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I've been dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well. I want to thank all those who offered their prayers and support and well wishes. It's meant the world to me and to Jill. I've written a book about my time as president.
We're historic.
It's called Promise Me America.
He ain't written shit.
It's available for pre-order now.
A president has to do a marketing campaign for his own book.
About the challenge we faced as a nation, about the decisions I made, and why I made them.
Yeah, because Brock's people told you to. We didn't know what was
Leading
going
the country
on.
through COVID, rebuilding our economy, and restoring our democracy after the attack on January 6th.
They put how many people in prison for not even going in the building?
Ending our nation's longest war in Afghanistan. Strengthening NATO.
He didn't end it. Oh, my God.
And supporting Ukraine. It's about why I chose to run for re-election and why I chose to step aside. Most of all, it's about my faith in the promise of America. The promise we made to those who've gone before us is to honor their sacrifice. The promises we made to one another and to treat everyone with dignity and respect.
Sure.
And the promises we made to future generations of Americans to remain the beacon to the world.
A beacon.
Promise Me America is about my faith in America and the American people. I hope you'll read it And I hope it strengthens your faith in what we can do as a nation and a people.
Oh, God. I hear his days are like, they call
got
lid
stage
still at 10
4
o'clock. They still call lid at 10 o'clock, right? And then and then they give him a handful of grapes while he watches Matlock, reruns and whatnot. I know they never seem to die, but we don't want to. We don't want to make them die, but
I was just thinking, what's the difference between herpes and number 46?
What's that?
Well, eventually you might actually get rid of herpes.
Yeah, really. Buy Joe's book, 49 cents USD. That's great. Step aside. Aha. Couldn't effing stand. Yeah, he couldn't stand. Yeah. I haven't seen this much dribbling. Exactly. Let's see. Jade, please tell me you have a moment for us. It's good for my brain cells.
It's hard to come up with special moments, Linda.
Oh, I've got
It really
stuff.
is.
I could
What's
play
that?
something. I got something right now. I have a new progressive Zen.
Oh, yeah, play that.
I'll play that right now. Here we go.
Welcome to another progressive Zen moment of the day, where you can practice your breathing to bring calm and peace to your life.
No! 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 Because hundreds of thousands of people are starving! Babies and mothers and grandfathers are starving to death! Because there are thousands of trucks of food and diapers and baby formula behind the f***ing wall! And Israel won't let them in!
This has been Progressive Zen, enhancing peace around the world.
Babies and mothers and trunks. Oh my!
Oh, I feel so much more relaxed now.
I know, isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? That was that's pretty
anything,
wonderful, wasn't it?
Anything that makes a libnut scream and cry.
To me and shy. Yeah, I know. I know.
Anything
Some
that-
colonels never spend a day in jail. It's if they got a little D next to their name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here anyway. I know you guys got your own problems over there because you do a good job telling us. Yeah. All right, let me see. We got a few good videos. Let's get into those right now. It's still early, but we can still do it. Let's see. Commentary on modern women. I just thought this was funny, this video, guys. So hold on. So let me bring this up. I just thought it was funny. So let's share screen. Okay, let's go. Here we go.
Look at this video. Look at this video. This is what's wrong with America right here. We got a pregnant woman having a change in AC filter by herself. No husband in sight. No, she probably doesn't even know who the dad of the baby is. This is the problem. These women in America are just having these babies. They're not staying with the dads. The dads aren't sticking around. They're picking these low life, deadbeat dads. Nobody around to help them. Just having to do all this herself. And she's just gonna get bigger. She's gonna get bigger and bigger, more and more pregnant. With no
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was pretty funny. At first, I was like, "Damn, I didn't know he was in the damn video."
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
That was like that. Yeah,
That was good, right? Yeah,
that was funny.
yeah. It's all heavy metal screamer. Yeah, I know. She was a heavy metaler, that girl. Mothers and babies and drunks. Oh my. Yeah. Let's go. Let's see. Trump declassifies documents. Here's what we know so far. This is good. It's like they got caught and now they're doing all their due diligence to try to help get away with it. So Trump declassifies election documents. Here's what we know now. So a large number of declassified documents were released following Trump's national address on elections Thursday night, and none of the mainstream losers would air it. It doesn't matter. Nobody watches them anyway. While there are plenty of documents to sift through, there are a handful of declassified memorandums from the federal government that circulated warnings on the potential foreign interference. One of the key memorandums from the National Intelligence Council in January 2020 disclosed that we assessed that vote tabulation systems would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to compromise election results. Okay, so let's get on with it. All right. So, quote, the system in each voting location are not connected to the internet. They lied. They were, because we've seen the Dominion machines afterwards. They absolutely got on the internet, right? Or to each other, they absolutely were on each other. They were very networked, and many methods for exploiting them rely on physical proximity. Wrong. China's not very close to us. Although an adversary could manipulate voting results across multiple jurisdictions and enough states to influence a presidential election, we judge that conducting such a campaign would be difficult and that post-election audits and paper trails would likely uncover such an effort. The same memorandum titled Vulnerabilities in U.S. 2020 Election Infrastructure said that the council notes, quote, that U.S. adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure for the 2020 presidential election. Adversaries gaining access to U.S. election-related systems that they just got done telling us could not be penetrated, right? Could disrupt the voting process, steal sensitive data, or undermine confidence in the election results. But we do not know whether any of them have specific plans to manipulate election-related systems, the memorandum continued. On China, one declassified document from an unnamed sensitive government agency stated that ahead of the 2020 presidential election, China has had extensive plans to utilize potential redacted and cyber operations to sway public opinion against the Trump administration and international opinion against the U.S. government. They didn't have to. They dialed right in and started pumping shit in. They also changed votes. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the data. Forensics, computer forensics people proved it. It says, look at part of an email thread in which officials are debating content and phrasing of an assessment regarding China's info operations during the 2020 election. They straight up strike a sentence about China seeking to topple Trump and write that China doesn't have a preference. Holy crap. All right. So let's get out of here. All right, here we go. So the final, the China plans, quote, the China plans were designed to exploit U.S. societal fissures and vulnerabilities to influence U.S. and other audiences, and by extension, U.S. government decision-making. The plans address several scenarios, including military conflict between the U.S. and China, and we would whoop their ass, as well as other potential crises. The summarizing document added. Meanwhile, an August 2020 assessment from the aforementioned Intelligence Council said that we assess that China prefers that the president, whom Beijing sees as unpredictable and tough on China, does not win re-election. Well, guess what? After that election, I watched a video that they have since taken down, but I watched a video and it was in a Chinese university and the students were sitting in like an amphitheater, right? And this guy came up and he was one of their ministers, minister of something. I don't know, ferns, whatever, right? And so he was talking to them and you had to read because it wasn't in English. You had to read the subtitles. And he basically said, okay, so now that we got the man we wanted, and he like winked and they all laughed, the entire audience. I was like, holy shit, I got to watch this. And he went on to talk about what they were going to do now. That they basically, I interpret it as, okay, now that we got the man that we paid his son $31 million elected, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And they named all these things that they tried to do. That they, and a lot of things that Biden, it was like everything that could have gone for or against Biden or China, he gave to China. Like 90% of the time. So we assess that hostile actors could also manipulate systems that count or tabulate votes, such as voting machines, on a localized basis. But it probably would be difficult to coordinate a campaign to alter voting rights on a wide scale, the August.
Or probably not.
Yeah, or probably not. Post-election audits and paper trails also most likely would uncover such efforts in the nearly all U.S. states. In the nearly all U.S. states. That's written weird. Similarly, foreign actors would have difficulty coordinating large-scale campaign to manipulate mail-in voting. Bullshit. Let me tell you something. It's like, it's mail-in voting, man. It's a paper. Yeah, but they scan it. And the minute they scan it, it's no longer a paper, right? Now it's digital. And they can do whatever the hell they want to do with it when it's digital. That's what these libnuts just don't seem to understand. So, and robust postal tracking probably would detect any large-scale effort. It was proven that they were paying money. The DNC operatives were paying money to mailmen because they were putting all the ballots into tubs and they were handing them off in the back area of the trucking parts of the post office. They were handing them to operatives who would take them to wherever their local place was. They'd manipulate them, then bring them back, and the guy would be there to pick them up. People took video of it and caught them. It was all aired, but nothing to see here. On the president's statements regarding non-citizens on voter rolls, a Department of Homeland Security document released in the dump on Thursday night claims that over 250,000 non-citizens are illegally registered to vote. Illegals don't vote in U.S. election, right? In just 4 states, for the public data files have been reviewed. So that means only 4 states, there's 250,000 people. Now, here's a real problem that Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts just gave us. China, for 15 years, has been bringing 100,000 people to the United States or to a U.S.-held territory and dropped the baby there, collected the birth certificate and that they were a citizen, then went back to China where they raised the kid.
Happened, but,
what's wrong?
We just froze.
Who did? I did?
Well, that's interesting.
Are you frozen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just froze. We the feed froze, and hopefully it's coming on again. I'm looking at the monitor here because I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. I didn't see anything freeze, but I was.
Yeah, we're still frozen on. Yeah.
Hey guys, type something.
Yeah, say something, people.
Type something, please. Oh, we might have been booted. Hold on. Let me go check for my emails. Let's see.
Yeah, the feed is still frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. Hold on. Let me see. No, I'm looking at the feed right now. You're moving.
Okay.
Yeah, you're moving on the feed.
Well, let me check.
I said say something. You said say something, and so Commander said something. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I see you guys. It's you. You're in StreamYard right now, which is why you can see. But just hit refresh. Thanks, guys. You're the best.
Okay, mine just came back on.
It's your end, Jade. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me finish. So, let's see. This doesn't necessarily mean individuals registered actually voted in the election. Please. But DHS argues that states that have adopted alien first policies instead of America first policies have a disproportionate number of non-citizens on their voter rolls. Why do you think they did the motor voter law in 1993 with Bill Clinton? Because they knew a couple years later, they're in blue cities, they were going to start saying, oh, illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants, right? That they could have a driver's license. Because then when they go to get their driver's license, motor voter law says no matter who, you got to register them to vote. That's why they did it. Anyway, what I was saying was China puts out 100,000 couples each year. They drop the kid, they go home to have the kid raised under the CCP, under a communist nation, right? They indoctrinate him. And then when he's 18, they come back and they vote in our elections. Well, guess what? 2028 is like the 18th year. So they're all going to come over, and there's over 1 million of them. That could change an election. They could very easily figure out how many they need in the battleground states to win and just put those 1 million in there. How many other countries are doing it, right? This is why birth tourism is really bad, and it's why they made such a really horrific ruling. I mean, even a libnut could understand. They'll never admit it, but they could understand why that ruling was horrific for the United States. They just see it as power for them. They don't realize anything like that could be used, against them as well. Hey, what's up, 40? Good to see you, man. What's going on, brother? Did you get my email I sent you? I sent you one, I think, yesterday or maybe the day before. Yeah. But all right, let's see. Hello, Blossom. There you go. Let's see.
Yeah, the problem is, you speak to a libnut, and all they'll tell you is that all this evidence is fake news.
Oh, it's all fake news. None of that happened.
I've had that happen to me.
We're the good guys. Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, a couple that is friends of ours are.
Right.
I didn't know how libnut they were, but we're chatting, and then she says, "Oh, but I could just say that's fake news," and I said, "Okay, all right,
yeah,
all right, I see where this is going."
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Did we want to talk about Fauci?
Yeah, I was just going to do that one. Yeah, cool. That's what I'm pulling up. So here we go. So here's why Fauci can't chicken out and plead the fifth during a. Let's see if I was right. I promise you, I did not read this. There he is. Anthony Fauci thinks Biden's last-minute auto pen pardon is his golden parachute, but he could be very, very wrong. In reality, that so-called pardon might turn out to be a pair of golden handcuffs instead. Americans have sat back and watched Fauci play a lot of games. He's dodged, danced. You guys should all be interested in this because he screwed you guys too, because he's the one that funded COVID-19. All right. And to his credit, all right, Barack Obama told him, stop it with the damn gain of function research. It's too dangerous. So he farmed it out to China. So he's dodged, danced, redefined words, split a lot of hairs, and acted like the rest of the country and the world was way too stupid to understand what really went down during the COVID circus. He became famous. He became the face of the pandemic response. And according to the media and liberals, he was the patron saint of trust the science. Remember, I am the science. Right? Who can forget these absurd candles? Remember that shit? They really put them out. $24.95. As you likely know by now, Senator Rand Paul says Fauci will testify publicly before his committee on July 29th. I am not missing that one. All right. And this time, the fifth escape hatch might not be so easy to open. That's because Biden gave Fauci, I was right, that sweeping preemptive auto pen pardon before leaving office. The pardon was supposed to protect him, but legally it screws up Fauci's ability to sit there, twiddle his thumbs, and plead the fifth when the questions get uncomfortable. A lot of Americans believe Fauci should have faced real legal consequences a long time ago for what he did to humanity. They look at COVID, the lockdowns, deaths, mandates, ruined businesses, lost years. What did they do to our kids as far as losing their education the way they did, right? And all the sketchy questions about Wuhan and the endless array of smug lectures from experts, and they don't see a humble pie servant or a humble public servant who deserves yet another theatrical political hearing. They see a criminal who got protected. And let's be honest here, a blanket pardon doesn't exactly scream innocence, does it? Normal people see something like that and ask the obvious question. If nobody did anything wrong, why did Biden's auto pen feel the need to pardon him before anyone was even charged with anything? Now, I will say this, okay? I understand, and I think what the person wrote applies here, but Trump has made pardons on people who were convicted, okay? But it was because they were given a raw deal by the courts, because the courts did not handle it properly. And he was convinced when they gave him the evidence. And so he pardoned people. He pardoned people that actually did the crime. And I mean, think about it. He had the First Step Act that he did. So if you were in prison for, I think, anything except like murder one, and you turned your life around and whatnot, he would give you a second chance, right? But on this, I think the writer is spot on. And again, that's what makes this hearing interesting, because if Fauci can't hide behind the fifth, then he may be forced into a very ugly corner. He can tell the truth or risk lying to Congress again. And if Republicans actually have the balls to press hard, follow up, and refuse to let him bluster his way through the hearing, this could become more than another useless swamp show. It could become the moment the pardon that was meant to protect Fauci starts working against him. Now, I said this back when he got the auto pen pardon. I was saying this all along. Catherine Herridge, who is a very good reporter, by the way, she used to be Fox and then she went over, I think, CBS, pointed out the key. Now she's on her own because even CBS screwed her, pointed out the key legal problem for Fauci. According to a veteran DOJ prosecutor, Biden's preemptive pardon significantly weakens Fauci's ability to invoke the Fifth Amendment when he appears before Rand Paul's committee. From a veteran DOJ prosecutor, Fauci was preemptively pardoned against criminal charges related to his NIH work by President Biden via AutoPen. This significantly weakens it. Now, why? Let's see. For years, it's just Rand Paul. For years, Anthony Fauci funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, then lied about it. The classified documents show he didn't just fund it. He personally shaped what the intelligence community told the American people about COVID's origins. 18 agencies relied on his. That's why Biden's AutoPen pardon may have created a trap. The whole point of the Fifth Amendment is that the government can't force you to incriminate yourself. But if you've already been pardoned for the federal conduct, the legal risk changes. The pardon may protect Fauci from prosecution for covered past federal offenses, but it also makes it harder for him to refuse to answer questions. Right. Because he can't take the Fifth now because he has no jeopardy. Right? His life's not in jeopardy, his freedom. And that's where Rand Paul comes in. For years, Anthony Fauci, gain-of-function research, lied about it. Declassified documents show that he didn't just fund it, but he, was in on a guide on that. So we'll testify publicly before my committee because the American people deserve the truth once and for all. It's true. Paul has been chasing down Fauci on the gain-of-function. I remember when Fauci sat there and he said, "You don't know what you're talking about." That was pretty good. And he said, "Well, wait a minute." He said, "You had a virus that supposedly only went for bats and did not go to humans. They worked on it to get it to spread to humans." That's right. He goes, "That's the definition of gain of function. You don't know what you're talking about." He said it again. It's unbelievable, right? He's not just saying Fauci was wrong. He's accusing him of helping shape what the intelligence community told the American people about COVID's origins. And Fauci's sidekick is about to face the music from very serious allegations. See, I remember doing a story where they would send him emails. Should we say this or this? And I actually read some, and it was redacted and all, but I was like, holy shit, he was telling them what to say and what not to say to lie to the American people. Holy cow. If anybody should go to prison, it's him and Obama and Comey and Brennan.
I don't care if they go to prison. I just want the truth to come out.
Right. Me too. A former national, this is from justice.gov. A former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases employee is facing indictment for his role in a scheme to evade Freedom of Information Act request in connection with the COVID-19 research grants. David M. Morenz, 78, of Chester, Maryland, is charged with conspiracy against, see, Jim, see, is charged with conspiracy against the United States, destruction, alteration, and falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records, and aiding and abetting. So he was trashing. He was getting rid of the evidence against Fauci and himself. Moran served as a senior advisor to NIAID's office of the director from 2006 to 2022. Quote, "These allegations represent a profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people needed it most during the height of a global pandemic," said acting Attorney General, hopefully soon to be Attorney General Todd Blanche. Okay. As alleged in the indictment, Dr. Morenz and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information and falsified records in an effort to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded, I can't even get through this, facts and advice in service of the public interest, not to advance their own personal ideological agendas. Yeah, okay. If Paul has the documents, emails, whistleblower claims, and the timeline, then the hearing has to be built like a trap door. Seriously. Ask the question and lock Fauci into an answer. Follow up again and make him explain all the contradictions. Make him explain what he knew, when he knew it, and why the public was told what it was told. And if he lies, which would be easy to prove at this point, charge him. Biden's pardon covers Fauci from I don't think it does, though, from prosecution for all the listed past federal stuff, but it doesn't protect him if he lies now. If Fauci testifies falsely before Congress, that would be new conduct outside the protection of the auto pen pardon. Now, you know he's going to get lawyers that are funded by the same people, the George Soroses, the billionaires out in California. He's going to try to fight this and not have to go. But you know what? A court can't say that, because that would be violating the separation of powers. Congress has the right to pull him in, right? And I think, being the scumbag that he is, that when he finds out he has to talk, he'll sing like a canary. He'll throw everybody under the bus, because remember, he is science, right? He's got such a freaking ego about himself that he doesn't. If he can say all that to get through this hearing, and he knows he can't be charged with anything, then I think that's a good thing. I think he will too. I think he's a loser, and he will. And if Fauci tries to plead the fifth anyway, that creates a whole new question. What is he afraid of incriminating himself over? Yes, the auto pen pardon was broad, but it wasn't pure magic. It covered certain past federal conduct tied to Fauci's government roles. It wouldn't protect him from lying now, and it might not protect him from bad moves he made outside the scope of the auto pen pardon. Right. So if Fauci still claims he can't answer without incriminating himself, that's a huge red flag, and Congress should press hard on why. Because that answer, or refusal to answer, may tell investigators exactly where to look next and what Fauci could actually be charged with now. That wouldn't be covered by the auto pen. We know enough of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I don't care if he
Right.
goes to jail, but you know, he's 80 something, and that is completely secondary to me as to the whole truth coming out. You know, that's important that people know, because here we're dealing with one guy, but we're dealing with the deep state, and people have to understand what the deep state did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People need to learn this, because, and you know what? Today's left would be like, well, I don't care, as long as it hurt Trump.
Yeah.
You know, we got rid of Trump, and that's all we cared about. So I don't care. You know, I'll care if a Republican is accused of it. That's the way they are. They're despicable people. They just are. Let's go.
I hadn't heard about this. The former Marine arrested after wanting to kill Trump or something.
Yeah, it was in the news. Hang on, we'll do that now.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. Former Marine and congressional candidate arrested after saying Trump must be killed. The United States Marine Corps took to X on Tuesday to let the public know it was aware of disturbing statements that had been made on video by former Marine. Here's the thing about Marines. You're never a former Marine. For the rest of your life, you are a Marine. And
unless you've been dishonorably discharged.
Right. And congressional. Okay, thank you. And congressional candidate William Upham. So the Marines were quick to point out that Upham had been medically discharged in 2005. Okay, so for reference, well, let's see what he says.
For God and country. This is the motto of my campaign.
Okay, looks like we're back. Our feed froze. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Rich said that he has to reboot, and he'll be right back. And this one isn't just on my end. but the feed did freeze.
All right. Now, what happened was,
There it
sorry, I'm
is.
back. What happened was my PC actually probably had a bug check and just rebooted on me. Sorry
Well,
about that. It's been
Yeah,
doing
the whole thing just froze.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bad. I was like, crap, because it did it yesterday. And so I ran some tests on it, and it didn't look like it was going to do it again, but it did. It did. So hang on, let me make sure.
Okay, look at the comments when you disappear. That's funny.
We can hear you, Dr. Jade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuked. Yeah, I was nuked.
Yeah, and then it says, "Tell us a story."
Yeah, you're frozen now, Rich. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, then
I know.
Linda said, "Tell us a story." To me, she said, "Jade, tell us a story." Anyway, that was exciting.
Yeah. So let's get back. It might happen again. I don't know. I gotta really look at it again. The PC. What were we talking about? I can't even remember.
You were about to the Marine that threatened to kill.
Oh yeah, the
Trump,
Marine. Okay.
And just a few seconds into his video,
Yeah.
it froze.
Yeah, I got a couple things I got to clear. So give me a sec.
Okay. You getting it up?
That's a rather personal question.
Yeah, well, I suppose that is true. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I got it set. All right, here we go. So let's go back to this.
Take two.
Yeah. The United States Marine Corps took to X on Tuesday to let the public know it was aware of disturbing statements that have been made. Let me go back to this jackass.
For God and country. This is the motto of my campaign. I decided to run for office to fix our broken political system, to restore bipartisanship, return power to the working class, and to end our system of Washington insiders, extremism, and excuses from our current members of Congress. I've reached a turning point in my campaign. Why? I've come to the realization that our country is broken. We are led by a president who's the enemy of God, and President Trump will never bring us together like God intended. Democrats are wrong because they are wrong on the common sense issues. Enforcement of our criminal laws, border security, national security, and social issues that are 80-20. Republicans are wrong because they never address the racism and discrimination that has persisted in our country for generations. Is our country salvageable? Maybe it is. Our founding fathers intended
We're not going to play the whole 6 minutes.
us to be the freest country on this planet, and that's what we became. But in doing so, we became the most selfish. We turned away from God. We turned away from love and kindness, and we turned away from putting others first. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I swore an oath when I commissioned. I, William Upham, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. I joined the United States Marine Corps.
All right, that's enough.
But he ends up threatening Trump.
I'm bored. Let me put where the hell's the there it is. Sorry, let me go back to it.
Yeah, Rich.
I just want to get to that part. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I don't want to watch for 6 minutes for him to get there. I'll just read it. Right. So President Trump, wait a minute. He is the enemy and must be killed. He said that? Oh, then we have to hear that. Sorry. I didn't know that's what he said. Holy crap. So here we go.
Away from love and kindness, and we turned away from putting other that I will support and defend. I joined the United States. This principle of defending others, especially the innocent and the vulnerable, is seen in the Bible in many passages. In Esther chapter 8, verse 11, the prime minister of Persia authorized the right for Jews to defend themselves and women and children from armed attackers. In Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 13, builders armed themselves and were stationed for self-defense purposes. Your sons is not explicitly endorsed in the vulnerable. This is a message. We are at war with evil. There's no doubt in my mind that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is the Antichrist. He is a false Messiah, and he is your enemy, and he must be killed.
Wow.
Why do I believe this? President Trump posted an AI-generated image of him in the likeness of Jesus Christ. He has also criticized the Pope. He is nothing like Jesus Christ. In Thessalonians chapter 2.
Right, that's enough. He's gone to prison.
I sure hope
He just
so.
threatened the president.
Yeah.
Check for political idiots during boot camp. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Oh, my goodness. Think about it. This guy just threatened the president of the United States.
Not a good idea.
Because of the Jesus thing. We all saw that, right? Well, the guy that created the meme said that what it was supposed to entail, what it was supposed to give off was a vibe that Donald Trump is healing a Christian nation. It wasn't saying that he was Christ. Hey, what's up? Take two drums.
Yeah, and besides,
yeah, TDS much? Yeah, exactly.
Besides, Trump didn't create that meme.
Right. He just posted. And here's the thing, too. Here's the thing. If anybody goes on Truth Social and they read his post, Donald Trump at around, I don't know, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, because he never sleeps, right? Those are the hours where he'll go over things that people posted and people send him and all that. And if he thinks it's funny, he'll just repost it. He doesn't care. He thinks it's funny. Hey, I think it's funny. So the president sending out something he thinks is funny people would like that, right? And that's what he does, And it's like earlier in the evening when he sends out his political messages. But that was one where he thought, oh, that's pretty cool, and so he forwarded it. That's basically what happened. I understand anyway. One of the worst possible combinations of U.S. Marine aggressiveness with liberalism. Yeah. But no, I don't know if he was a liberal, because he was spouting like religious stuff. Liberals don't believe in God for the most part, Yeah, he was dressed as the Pope, for fuck's sake. Yeah, but the guy that created the meme said that it was because Trump was healing a Christian nation, and that's what the whole thing was about. Yeah. Okay. So the next one. Let's go. Let's bring up another. I want to bring up another video. Let's see. Negotiators. No. Yeah, the other half Marvels. Lunch prep. Yeah, this one's good too. Here, watch. I just found this one funny. This guy marvels at lunch prep, but the way he does it is really funny. So here we go.
Right. Oh, that's a nice bit of ham. I was going to say something else. What are you doing with the rest of the meat? On the cheese. So what happens to the excess? I know we're making lovely Lunchables. It looks gorgeous. I need to know where the rest is going. Is it going? Oh, how many cookies are you getting? 3! Oh, now you're treating us. Right, but what about the excess meat? Are we doing anything with... Oh, it's going on a bloody sandwich. This is lovely. Oh, and we're even cutting little... Oh, that's not... Looks like a Pop-Tart, doesn't it? Like I like how it's... Is it like crimpled? Oh, that means every single bite is just going to be meat and cheese. I like this. They don't look like sandwiches. They look like scones, but you know, or scones. Sorry, scones. Is that how you think we sound? We don't bloody sound like that in the UK. Believe me. Some people do, but it don't matter, right? And now we are using the extra breadcrumbs with the cheese to create like mini nachos, maybe, or like cupcake potato cheese bits. This is brilliant. This is how you not waste food. Look, oh my God, mini pizzas. Now this is, I can get behind this. We're not wasting any food. We're making everything through everything we possibly can. Look at the cheese pull on the boy. Woo!
I just like that.
Oh my God, I'm hungry now.
I know, wasn't that good?
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, I just had to share it. All right. Let's go with the next one. Let's go down the list. Millions, the government was a company. All right, here we go. Marine. Yeah. Here's how much foreign cash. Trump for their policy failures. Yeah, let's do Spencer Pratt. I like the guy. Don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. Don't care. I like him, the way he handled himself. Spencer Pratt mercilessly mocks Karen Bass. She's the mayor, the words the mayor of Los Angeles, and he should have beaten her, but he was robbed after her absurd explanation for homeless meth use. Okay. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has dropped some spectacularly cringe statements throughout her career. She hailed Cuban leader Fidel Castro by the name that his minions honored him with, Comandante El Jefe, when he died in 2016 in lionizing a brutal communist dictator and enemy of the United States. All of this can be found at URL, she said, of the wildfire press conference in 2025, as a large portion of her city was burning to the ground, the Palisades, right? Neglecting to mention the actual website. It's unknown how many people went out looking for assistance from the URL. Can you imagine? She said, you can go to our website, and she never gave the link. What an idiot. So in the one and only 2026 mayoral debate, when asked whether non-citizens should vote in local elections, Bass replied, it depends. It's not a yes or no. It could be yes, could be no.
Ding, ding, wrong answer, wrong answer.
Oh, but it is, Karen. And the one-word answer is no. She may have outdone herself with this latest wild statement, though. Sure, we have a bit of homeless problem, she admitted at a press conference Wednesday. And sure, some of them like to dabble in a little drug action here and there, but they have very good reasons to do so. They need to protect themselves. You do it too, right? So
what? You sleep out on the street for a couple of weeks and tell me that you're not using something to stay sane or use meth so that you don't go to sleep to protect yourself.
After the speech, we asked the mayor to clarify. You said that people are on the street using meth for protection?
Well, no, what I said is no. What I said is that I know that people have used meth to stay awake at night so they don't fall asleep because they're worried about being assaulted. Meth is not protection.
Jesus. Oh, what a mo.
Well, I rarely agree with her, but I have to technically say that she is correct, that people have and do use meth to stay awake.
Yeah, but not on Skid Row.
Yeah, I'm just saying technically.
Notice that the person who posted this tweet seems to have Nostradamus-like capabilities. Quote, fix the streets, he implored. He posted that before a massive water main burst onto the streets of West Hollywood in the wee hours of Thursday morning, causing a raging river to flow down Sunset Boulevard and engulf cars, buses, businesses, and residences. While technically West Hollywood is its own city carved out right in the middle of Los Angeles and is therefore not under her jurisdiction, it's part of LA County. Its infrastructure is deeply tied into the larger cities, and the disaster certainly seems emblematic of the failures of the city and the state as a whole. She even doubled down on her wacko take when confronted with the questions. After a reporter asked her to clarify the remark, Bass replied, what I said is that I know that people have used meth to stay awake at night so they don't fall asleep because they're worried about being assaulted. Okay. The comments ignited immediate backlash online, with critics accusing Bass of trying to justify meth use instead of addressing the city's growing addiction and public safety problems. Because the people that have meth, they got to buy the meth. And they don't have any money. They're homeless. So how do they buy the meth? They rob people. They burglarize homes and sell the shit. That's how they do it. So she doesn't even care about that. Let me see. A couple of rebuttals, sleep out on the street, a couple of weeks. How about no? Tell me you're not using something to stay sane or use meth so you don't go to sleep to protect yourself. Okay, then I'll tell you I'm not now, nor will I ever take the notoriously deadly drug to stay safe. I'm also not going to stab myself to protect myself from street crime. No, that's great. So here's Spencer Pratt. Let's see if he says it. Hold on. Is this him or is it still her again? I don't know.
You sleep out on the street for a couple of weeks and tell me that you're not using something to stay sane or use meth so that you don't go to sleep. I know.
Yeah, no, it's the same crap. So let's go here and see. Well, where's Spencer Pratt? Oh, there he is. Sorry. Homelessness doesn't cause drug addiction. Drug addiction causes homelessness. 3-year-olds understand this. Why doesn't Karen Bass? That's the perfect line, too. All right, that was an awful.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said, in a very narrow sense.
Yeah.
What she said was true, but the whole thing when she said it's just bullshit.
Yeah, it is. Total bullshit. All right. I gotta close that. Let's see. Mega Mamdani erasing Italians. Yeah. Courage not.
We got something here on Marco Rubio.
Yeah, let me play that.
He's turned out to be a very good speaker.
Oh, yeah. He articulates what few people can hear. It's about communism, and he does a really good job. You want to hear this. It's pretty good. So here it is. Let's take it over to X. So let's go. Okay.
One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God. For these architects of revolutionary violence, the towering achievement of our civilization, for them, it's an unbearable humiliation, a reminder of what they cannot do and a reminder of what they cannot be. So they choose instead to destroy. They attack pipelines.
Right, let's see. There should be another one. Yep.
This is a distinctive and unique evil. It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself. It is a revolt of the worst against the best, a revolt of the weak and the cowardly against the strong and the good. It is perpetrated by those who cannot build, who cannot create, who cannot achieve great things, and take their revenge upon the world for their own inadequacy by seeking to destroy those who can. This is what radical leftism is. It may wear various different slogans and ideologies across place and time. They can call themselves anti-capitalist or anti-imperialist, communist or anarchist or Marxist, but the fundamental character is always the same. It's always the same. It is a poisonous resentment cloaked in the language of equality and justice, liberation, an overwhelming need to tear down what greater men have built, to wreck what is beautiful and what is right on behalf of people who are only filled with ugliness and have nothing else to offer the world. Through violence and through terror, they once again seek to impose their ugliness on all of us. The old dogma was wrong. The old dogma was wrong. None of this is driven by idealism. It is not utopian. In fact, it is the opposite. One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God. For these architects of revolutionary violence, the towering achievement of our civilization, for them, it's an unbearable humiliation, a reminder of what they cannot do, and a reminder of what they cannot be. So they choose instead to destroy. They attack pipelines, they attack railroads, they attack power grids and laboratories, the physical embodied symbols of power and invention and achievement. This is the nature of the terrorism we face today. They despise the West because the West is great.
Yep. That's pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got.
You want to do the Kurt Schlichter story?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have something rocking back and forth? There's like a tapping noise coming through.
No.
No?
I don't hear it.
Okay,
You sure it's not your system?
Yeah, it's nothing on my end.
All right. No. Okay, ready? Leftist women are an abomination. A 43-year-old Trump-hating American woman named Jamie Carney decided to move to Ireland to escape the bad orange man's reign of terror, shack up with her Palestinian asylum seeker boyfriend, and, well, that misadventure ended about as well as a sentence that begins, "I thought the pit bull looked cute, so I petted it." Or, "But I thought I could fly." Spoiler alert, her Muslim dreamboat got mad and at the uppity infidel and bludgeoned her to death. Who could have seen that one coming except anybody with eyes? It's kind of amazing how Darwinism results in a self-cleaning gene pool. No, I would prefer that she had not been murdered by the semi-human third world savage she decided was a viable alternative to a nice, normal Western male. But my bandwidth of caring is necessarily limited. One can only genuinely care a finite amount. Pretending to care endlessly and without limits is just moral posturing of which there is far too much. And he's right. That's why one must carefully curate what he chooses to care about. Neither you nor I can possibly care about all the wrongs in the world, and we should not take some of that precious caring that would otherwise be devoted to someone who is not the architect of her own miserable fate and squander it on someone who is. The point here is not that bad judgment of one dumb liberal woman from America. The point is that the bad judgment of an enormous number of dumb liberal women from all over the West. These self-righteous crones are a pestilence, a plague upon Western society, a group of doggedly ignorant feminist chauvinists playing out their personal psychodramas on the world stage, whose antics, if unchecked, will inevitably lead to the fall of civilization. Too extreme? Look around you at what's going on. These creatures range from the ridiculous blue-haired failed daughters with gender studies degrees and a career in barristaining. I don't even know what that is. To the gray-maned boomer women reeking of patchouli, I guess, and sexual dissatisfaction at your local No Kings rally, to Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, who decided she needed to shut down Europe's greatest economic power's entire energy industry, even as she was importing most of the third world with utterly predictable rapey consequences. Just look at this lunatic who stands a significant chance of being a Senate nominee for a major political party. The patriarchy built a civilization. The mediocre matriarchy wants to tear it down out of guilt, boredom, and sexual frustration. If you're looking for policy that's not just bad, but civilization shakingly bad, there's a better than even chance there will be women identifying women behind it. Orwell called it 1984. It was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy. If it's a bad idea, chances are there's a chick behind it. And that includes empowering the trans nonsense. Do you think for a minute that dudes with a whole sausage self-swinging would ever be allowed in women's locker rooms if there weren't significant numbers of high-status women demanding it? Do you imagine that the majority of men would refuse a majority of women who were demanding we exclude these perverts? Hell no. The guys would look at the women as if they were crazy, asking, wait, there are dudes doing that? And out would come the torches and pitchforks. But in fact, it's women who demand that these creeps be allowed to invade women's intimate spaces, left-wing women, and women who demand that these mutants dominate women's sports. Not all women, but enough high status and influential ones to make it happen. Remember, the only thing these broken women hate more than men is unbroken women. This is the cue for critics to whine and complain, because I'm talking about the specific and particular failures of women. Remember, we must pretend that every specific group, except straight white dudes who believe in Jesus and normal genders, each provides its own wonderful and unique attributes to the beautiful tapestry that is diversity. And yet, while we're required to pretend that each group has uniquely compelling good points, even where the evidence demonstrates to the contrary, we're also required to pretend that none of them has uniquely compelling negative points. Well, when women screw up, they often screw up in a uniquely female way, and at the risk of being called a sexist oppressor even harder than usual, because they're always going to call you a sexist oppressor. That's the truth, and it's irrelevant that some feminist doxy cries when she hears it. Now, of course, men also screw up in their own uniquely compelling male ways. Take what just happened in Maine. We have both Herr Oyster Gruppenführer, a guy who appears almost, they call it Mein Kampf. That's what they're calling him now. A guy who appears almost as a parody of toxic masculinity, as well as the up-talking femboy socialist consultant who thought that this was just the guy to take on that fascist demon Susan Collins. Maybe he thought that a red flag was a good thing after all. He was a communist. But the subject at hand is women and how women screw up. And women do screw up, even if saying so ticks off the girl bosses. At the individual level, we see how Platner-esque convicts on death row are often inundated with mash notes from women on the outside. When they finally get led over to old Sparky, you always read about how the wife they married while in prison sobbed to the reporter about how their three-named monster hubby was really a wonderful and gentle soul, totally oblivious to the 4 people he chopped up with an axe after robbing them for $12. The unfortunate Jamie Carney is akin to these nitwits. She was living in New York and the mother of a 13-year-old daughter. But when Trump came along, she was so mad at him that she decided to move to Emerald Isle. At a Palestinian protest, of course, she met Ahmad al-Sakar, a 28-year-old dude also living in Ireland, on the dole naturally, and they fell in love. Well, she fell in love. He beat her brains out around 7, 8. Gee, how could this fairy tale romance have gone so wrong? Writ larger, she was one of those ridiculous ladies who stand there with a sign that says, "Refugees welcome," demanding that even more perverted third world peasants flood her country like gays for Palestine. It's a societal suicide pact that they somehow think they're exempt from. The numbers are undeniable. The majority of rapes in Europe are linked to the migrants. And though they make up less than 10% of the population in many countries, but does that stop liberal women? No, it probably encourages them. Oh, I don't think they want to be raped and beaten to death personally, but I think that they believe at some level that members of their own society deserve that fate. They believe their cities are evil, which naturally makes them heroines in the young adult novel that is their lives. And they're trying to atone for it by this ritual humiliation and sacrifice. It's true. You see this all the time with ridiculous lefty women demanding that we defund the police and close prisons while female judges sentence violent psychopaths to probation. They cast it as mercy and grace, but it's not. They're seeking to punish the rest of us for the sins they have adjudicated us guilty of committing as a society. In other words, they know full well the damage they're doing. It's intentional. It's penance. Some, like Carney, have convinced themselves that their advocacy for the destruction of their own society will give them a free pass. They simply don't understand that the foreigners they adore as the avengers of all the myriad wrongs they attribute to their own society hold them correctly in utter contempt. They hate their guts. Ahmad al-Sakar always despised the late Miss Carney for her weakness and stupidity, just like these savages always despise their Western cheerleaders for their weakness and stupidity. When she annoyed him, he murdered her because that's what happens in his garbage culture. Ms. Carney could not conceive of that because she grew up in a civilized culture, one created, ordered, and defended by the kind of strong American males she holds in such contempt. It's only in such a society that she and the other liberal wine women so despise her brand of ideological frivolity cannot merely survive but flourish. Yet, as soon as they encounter the barbarians outside the gate that she and her friends want to cast open to the invaders, they are suddenly outside the protection they have known all their lives. They can act the fool while people they hate watch over them and protect them. But once they put themselves in a position where the men of the West can't protect them anymore, they are subject to all the consequences of their choices. And that's why Jamie Carney is dead. It's sad for her, but it's infinitely sadder for our society as a whole. Again, we have only a finite amount of sincere caring allocated to us. At some point, people need to learn not to put their hands on the stove. Yet they're happy to risk being burned as long as the rest of us go up in flames. For that reason, we should devote the same amount of sincere caring to her and her ilk as they devote to us. That was long, but I think it was worth reading. Hold on, let me clear this. Let's see. Taking off. Good to see you. Oh, Bobby, you taking off? All right, man. Thanks, brother. Thanks for showing up. Have a good one. Wait a minute. What's that? Kurt who? Sphincter? No, it's Schlichter. Kurt Schlichter. He's I've read just about every book he's ever written. He's a conservative. I think he's still a colonel in the army. I think he is. Or at least he was. But yeah, hold on. If an English person had been responsible, the Irish would have done something. Yeah. Yeah. I like him. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what's next. Harvard dolt prevents cutting.
Yeah, I was just looking at that one, the Harvard dolt.
Yeah, let's see what this idiot has to say. Yeah.
Takes an advanced degree to be so stupid, really.
Yeah. Harvard dolt proposes cutting a deal with the right to let the left's woke years go, and LOL Huiboy. Whatever. Harvard University student pushed for a compromise to settle disputes over how grossly woke the left is and has been for years and years. Under his sad little arrangement, the left would concede that the movement had significant downsides. No kidding. Then the right would agree to stop portraying itself as a victim of those trends half a decade after their prominence. Yeah, you can imagine how people on X, especially people on the right, responded to this bargain. It all started here. I think we need a grand bargain, this idiot said, on woke, where the left agrees that it sucked, and on the right agrees to stop acting victimized by it half a decade later. Yeah, but the guys that were victims of that, a lot of them suffered a lot of stuff from these left-wingers, lost their jobs, all kinds of crap. And yeah, no, pass. Not a zip zilch. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. Oh, this is the best. This is Andrew Breitbart at the end of that movie.
Fuck you.
War. He was like, you want to call us racist and you want to say that we would do this, this, and this? Well, fuck you. War. and they killed him. So it didn't go well for the guy. Laughably laments Biden. Here you go. This is funny. Tamarico or Talarico, whatever the hell his name is again. Yeah, it's Talarico. Pro-illegal alien Dem James Talarico laughably laments Biden failing to secure our southern border because he knows he's behind and he's never going to win because he's pro-illegal alien in Texas. He's running in Texas. Democrat James Talarico says he wants to represent Texans in the U.S. Senate. Nice try, James. We know better. Anyone who has been paying attention acknowledges that Talarico and the Democrat Party see Texans and all Americans as second-class citizens. It's non-citizen illegal aliens that he's running for higher office to champion, not Texas voters. No one believes he's for secure border policies, and it's clear that he's anti-ICE. That's why his feigned outrage at former President Joe Biden on Thursday is so laughable. Here's Talarico, and you know what? Nobody on the left challenged him for that. Why would you go after Morning Joe? Think about it. It's because they all know he's lying, and they allow him to lie. They're like Muslims. You can lie to the infidels so long as it pushes forward Islam. Well, these guys, you can lie to the normies so long as it pushes forward communism. That's what they're doing. So Talarico says Biden failed to secure the border, and that's unacceptable. He's trying so hard to play the sensible border guy.
So you would agree the Democrats made a big mistake in 2021, 22, 23, not focusing enough on border security, right?
Absolutely. And I've called out President Biden and his administration for failing to secure our southern border. I remember talking to my colleagues in the state house who represent border communities, and they were telling me about the utter chaos along our southern border. And that's unacceptable. We need to be about making government work for people. And this was a prime example of government not working for any of us.
Yeah, okay. So this is C-Dubs. This is the same guy who recently claimed that border wall construction threatened tourism in Texas. What the fuck? All right. 1 minute he says we should be welcome mat for all vetting, and now this. Anyone would be a fool to believe Talarico was suddenly yanking his welcome mat from under the feet of the Democratic Party's precious illegal aliens. Posters say Talarico is doing what radical Democrats do every election. They lie about their positions and then reveal their true form once in office. It's something we just witnessed in the Virginia governor's race. Right. Let's see. They always do this. Say anything they most certainly do not mean at all, also known as lying to get elected. He doesn't believe any of that, and neither do the people who will vote for him. Solely lip service to try to peel off the fence sitters. I love social media. It's called pulling a Spanberger. Gotta love that. Yep. Abigail Spanberger sold herself as a moderate during the election. She became the radical leftists she always was, truly once she took up residence in the governor's mansion. She did, right away. Talarico is engaging in secure border talk right now. If he makes it to the Senate, he will immediately join with his fellow Democrats to severely weaken the border or outright eliminate it, while pushing for mass amnesty. Commenters see this. Watch how fast he'd be voting for open borders and a quick path to citizenship for illegals if elected to the Senate. Fortunately, Texans are wise to him. We don't need to read anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's
all the crap.
He promotes DEI, and he promotes woke. He's for trans kids. He's for veganism. All this is, he's anti-gun. This is all going over real well in Texas.
Yeah. All right. So what's next? Let's see. Let me bring the thing up. There we go. So, this is remember John Ashcroft? He was the Attorney General under, I think, Bush.
I can't picture him, but I remember.
Yeah, you will when you see him, right? Well, Adam Schiff tries to be Adam Schiff, and Ashcroft doesn't let him. This is great. So let's see. All right.
Yeah, as we always say, Adam Schiff for brains.
The person has both the right and the duty to use the Justice Department to go after his enemies. Do you subscribe to that view?
Thank you, Senator. I believe that the Attorney General of the United States has the right and responsibility to enforce the law uniformly. And if the law has been broken by the president's enemies, he has a duty they do not become exempt from following the law merely by their enmity to the President of the United States. As a matter of fact, the people who break the law are in enmity with the people of the United States, whose expression of what is the law has been developed in this body and the Congress of the United States. So we used to call people who break the law public enemies.
Well, Mr. Trunnion,
And so my view is that whether a person has been a political supporter or not of the President of the United States is not the determining factor regarding prosecution. It's whether a person has violated the law, and in enforcing the law, the Attorney General is carrying out the will expressed in the Congress.
Isn't that great? Let's see. Is there a second one? Yeah.
My question is, do you think it is appropriate for the president to call on the attorney general to prosecute one of his enemies?
He didn't do that.
And acting on that, request the president for the attorney general to do so.
The President of the United States is the executive branch of the United States whose charge it is to enforce the laws of the United States.
So
When the President of the United States asks that the laws be enforced, I don't see that as consistent with his duties or responsibilities. If the laws were to be enforced differentially, and which one of the things that scares me about as many laws as we have, someone said, in order to run a police state, you only have to have one policeman. But if you have enough laws, you can go find something wrong with anybody you want. So the president,
See what he does. When he doesn't get the answer that he wants, he starts interrupting.
His job is to have an administration which calls for the enforcement of the laws of the United States without regard to the political preferences of the people who are perpetrators or accused individuals in the system.
I'm not sure that I understand your answer, except you seem to accept the premise that it is okay now for a president to call the attorney general and ask him to prosecute his enemies.
He never, I guarantee Trump never said prosecute his enemies. I guarantee he said, take a look at the crimes that they committed and prosecute them for it. Even look, it's not illegal or wrong. Like for this asshole who actually, I think, committed crimes during the impeachment. Okay. He violated rules. Anyway, I mean, it's political crimes, but I mean, he should be like, he leaked classified documents. He lied. He tried to manipulate the country with certain things he said during the beginning of an impeachment hearing. He was reading like a mob boss script, but he inserted Trump in there as if he was the mob boss. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. All right. So when he says, look, he broke the law, go after it. It's called accountability. It's not called lawfare. It's called accountability. You break the law, you should be held accountable.
I don't seem to have a problem with that. If you do have a problem with that, please say so.
I believe the president needs to be an advocate of strong law enforcement.
Okay,
that includes
that's not what I wanted to hear.
Enemies of his.
With respect, Mr. Attorney General.
If an enemy of the president goes out and conducts a violent crime, it's nothing wrong with the president calling the attorney general and saying, I hope you do something about this violent crime.
And if the president's enemy takes a photo of seashells, you think it's appropriate to prosecute them? If senators make a video stating the plain law and Constitution that you can disobey an illegal order, you think it's okay for the president or others to call on them to be prosecuted?
Wow.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't think you would have done that as Attorney General. I hope you wouldn't have. If you would have, you were not the Attorney General.
Now he's at the phase of the questioning where he's going to bloviate. And he's going to try to say what he wanted the witness to say.
General, I thought you were. I don't think it's appropriate for this Attorney General or any other. And I don't remember seeing, notwithstanding the false equivalence I hear expressed so many times from my colleagues in this committee, I don't remember any Democratic president calling the Attorney General and saying, you need to prosecute him.
He called Jack Smith and said, I want you to go after Trump. Merrick Garland picked Jack Smith because he had a hard-on for Trump, because Trump didn't appoint him, didn't promote him to U.S. attorney. He literally quit because of it. And he was angry.
And Biden was all over Merrick Garland to go after them.
Yeah. And so that's why he went after him for the documents case. And the same Department of Justice did not go after Biden for it when he had them when he had the classified documents when he was a senator. He doesn't have the right. Even as vice president, he didn't have the right. Trump did have the right. I mean, there's two court cases that defined that he is the sole person with the utmost authority on classification and declassification, and that he also was the one who declares that it's not NARA, the archive people, it's not them that declares what's presidential records, that the president determines that. And that's pretty wide. I mean, Supreme Court ruled that, and so I don't see how it's a problem. And I don't see how this is the balls this man has. They literally, and the number 3 guy in the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, right? You get your career, you're the 3rd in charge of the Department of Justice, right? And he resigned his position so that he could go work as a assistant district attorney in Manhattan for Alvin Bragg, right? For the porn star thing, right? And he did that because he wanted to show them how to prosecute him in the federal system. And a state prosecutor doesn't have the right to do that, but the judge allowed it. They called it a novel theory. So they converted 24 documents charges, crossing T's, dotting I's, into election felonies. And then they didn't let Trump's defense team call a federal election commission executive to testify that Trump broke no federal election laws. So who does this asshole think he is?
You need to prosecute her, and you need to prosecute them, and you need to go after this organization. We have never seen that before or anything like it.
Yes, we have.
Anything like it.
The 2 past Democrat administrations, for God's sake.
And generic statements, they all do it, is simply not the case. And by making that argument, it just further erodes the wall of independence that I'm sure, Attorney General, you remember after Watergate, when because of the abuses of President Nixon, there was an effort to make the Justice Department independent from the White House, not completely independent in the sense that the president couldn't set general priorities. I want you to emphasize these cases and these cases, whether it's immigration cases or drug cases. That was always appropriate. But what has never been appropriate, and particularly so after Watergate, was for the Attorney General of the United States to break that wall and call on his Attorney General to prosecute his enemies. And I would say even without any basis to do so. And this Justice Department has been willing to do so and has gone before grand juries. And we have never, I think, seen the likes of this either in these high profile cases where the grand jurors, in some cases to a person, have refused an indictment. How often did you have that happen to you, Mr. Attorney? Last question I'll ask you. How often, Mr. Attorney General, did you seek an indictment as a prosecutor and have not a single grand juror vote to indict? Did that ever happen to you?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, the grandstanding by this.
Yeah, I despise that pencil neck.
Yeah, I do too. I can't stand that motherfucker. I just can't. Sorry. Oh man. Let's see what do we got. There was obvious death threat shift. Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Yeah, he has no balls. That's the problem. Yeah, that's exactly right. Aging. Carol was in New York too. Yeah. Cries on a bike. This is hard to listen to. Mr. Schiff, like many others, is a multi-millionaire on $175,000 a year. Yeah. Top pocket hypocrisy. Yeah, lots of room for rope on that neck. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're multimillionaires because of very wise investments. That's what it is. They're very smart investors.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. Personal message, fake news about his assassination attempt. Yeah, we're going to do that. Besant.
Yeah, let's talk about Scott. Scott Besant.
Yeah, so Dang. Besson has a personal message for the fake news about his assassination attempt. I didn't even know that. So in case you missed it, Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a summit of leaders from over 60 countries on Thursday on combating the resurgence of traditional far-left terrorism. His speech on left-wing violence and terrorism and how many institutions, including the media and academia, gloss over them was a must-see. You can watch that here, and he goes on, right? Yeah, because, you know, they're like throughout the Biden regime, they kept saying, you know, these neo-Nazis and white supremacism is the largest thing. Ah, bullshit. So he's totally right, though. One example he used was how people rioted and burned down cities in the summer of 2020, but those leaders essentially did nothing. He also mentioned various other issues like transgender shootings, assassinations, and attempts from recent years. After Rubio delivered the opening remarks, Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent spoke, and he did not hold back from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, he had his own personal example of how left-wing violence has gotten worse in this country, and he dared anyone to question him. I hope there's a video. Yes, there is. Yay. Okay. Let's bring this up.
I'm going to remind everyone in this room and all the media that I was the subject of an assassination attempt February 2024 by an adult left-wing activist 2 hours after being sworn into my job. So any of you who want to report that this is a fiction and does not exist, be there for the sentencing this August. I'm going to remind everyone.
I love that. He's like Chandler Bing on Friends. He just has the greatest lines given to him, you know, the greatest opportunity to say and do the most against the libnuts. There you go. The Democrats are panicking.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah. So Democrats are panicking and scrambling to hide something big. Who is this? Matt Margolis. Okay. Things just keep getting worse for the Democratic Party. And at this rate, they may need a new metaphor because keeps getting worse, barely covers it anymore. We already told you the polls are tightening heading into the midterms in November, which was bad enough on its own. Now it turns out the party's situation is so much worse than we already know. And the people running the show apparently don't want you to know just how badly it really is. In a bizarre move, the Democratic National Committee required its senior leadership to sign non-disclosure agreements before a private meeting on the party's finances, according to two people familiar with the conversations who spoke to Axios. That alone is a break from past practice. DNC officers are high-ranking members of Chair Ken Martin's team, not entry-level staffers. Officers at that level don't typically get handed a confidentiality agreement before they can hear how much money they have in their piggy bank and what they plan to do about it. Wow. Make no mistake about it. You don't slap NDAs on your own leadership team unless you're worried about what might leak. And boy, it's got to be something really juicy. The private senior officers meeting happened on June 25, 5 days before the Supreme Court issued a ruling that reshaped party fundraising rules. Martin has been fending off a crisis of confidence among Democrat donors, operatives, and even DNC members over how he's managing the party, especially with the Republican National Committee sitting on a huge fundraising advantage without any debt. And the numbers justify the panic. Through the end of May, the DNC had nearly $15 million on hand, but $18 million in debt. The RNC, meanwhile, had $125 million on hand and zero debt. In other words, the Democrat Party is running on fumes, and they know it. They always are. They always run out of money. Martin has been, and you know why that is, because people don't make small donations like regular people. They don't give $100, $50, $20. They don't do it anymore. They got to get it from like billionaires and millionaires and the people in Hollywood. You know, that's how they do it. So Martin has been, and they run out of that money. So Martin has been privately and publicly defensive about all of this for months. In a contentious Pod Save America interview earlier this year, he insisted to suggest that we're not raising money is inaccurate. He also argued the real gap between the parties isn't about how much money comes in, it's about how much goes out. Dizzy from the spin yet? The Supreme Court ruling that landed 5 days after that closed door meeting didn't do Democrats any favors either. It lifted limits on how much parties can spend in coordination with candidates and allowed parties to buy campaign ads at the same discounted rate that individual campaigns pay. As we reported, that decision was widely seen as benefiting the GOP as it effectively wiped out much of the fundraising edge Democratic candidates were counting on this fall. Does anybody believe they followed that ruling? The DNC declined to comment on the specific NDA requirement for its officers. Chris Lowe, the DNC's national finance co-chair, waved off the whole thing as a non-issue, calling confidentiality agreements for officers and board meeting attendees standard practice in the corporate world, even though they are not. Lowe also said senior DNC staff already operate under confidentiality agreements and argued it would be poor practice not to have them in place when finance and political strategy get discussed at the highest levels. Exactly.
Oh, here's another guy that I really can't stand. This guy Blumenthal.
Yeah, Richard Blumenthal. Let's see, right here. Sign of the apocalypse. Yeah, even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah, this has got to be good. Is he eating crow or something?
Yeah, something like that. Says Republicans have a point. It's probably nothing, but for him, hell froze over.
Yeah.
Senator Richard Blumenthal, who's the stolen valor king, has admitted that Republicans may have found a real problem. Washington remains standing. The sun rose on schedule, and no trumpet has sounded from the heavens, but the moment still feels unusual. Blumenthal said Republicans are highly concerned about a possible breach of Justice Department norms and improper access to communications gathered during former special counsel Jack Smith's investigation of President Donald Trump. That means that Blumenthal was in on it somehow, and they haven't caught him yet. All right. He said, I think we need to have more facts. Look into it. Republicans are rightly concerned about the possible breach of norms and improper access to email. Now, he's either doing that because of what I just said, or he wants to say, okay, you guys accepted that. Now go after Trump because he's doing the same thing, which he's not. He called for more facts and an investigation while several other Democrats preferred silence. The underlying records explain Blumenthal's caution. Smith's team obtained text messages exchanged between White House personnel and 44 lawmakers, including 40 Republicans and 4 Democrats, probably Fetterman. If this was done, no, I don't think it was done during his time. Okay. From the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Justice Department's letter to the chairman and the provided records indicates Smith's investigative team circumvented its own filter review process, which was established to protect privileged materials from being swept up in a criminal prosecution, and directly accessed the content of texts sent by Republican and Democrat senators and members of the House of Representatives to White House officials during Trump's first term. Communications from members of Congress pertaining to their official legislative duties are protected from criminal prosecution under the Constitution's speech or debate clause. Yada, yada, yada. All right. Jack Smith's criminal investigation of President Trump was a runaway train that had no brakes. Based on the information that's been produced to me and Senator Johnson, Biden, DOJ, and FBI investigators apparently ignored their own routine investigative protocols to obtain and review work-related messages from me and dozens of my Republican. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to read anymore. I'll tell you what. You know the guy Mark that we bring in here a lot? All right, the guy that we interview him a lot. He's Mark Davis from he's from Atlanta, right? Well, he called me several weeks back, maybe a month ago, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "I just got a letter from AT&T in the mail." He said, "My door rang. I was in my office. He works at home." He said, "And my door rang, and I thought, oh, this must be someone that's delivering something that I was waiting for." He goes, "But no, it was a FedEx guy, and I had to sign for it." I'm like, "What the hell is this?" He said they sent AT&T, his carrier, right, sent him these papers saying that the Congress, the current Congress, the Republicans, just sought after his records, his phone records, during the time of the 2020 election. So he's like, "What?" So he reads on, and he said they literally, they literally told him. They said, okay, so they requested them back in 2020, okay, and 2021 It was Jack Smith who requested your phone records and a bunch of others, right? And because he worked for the Trump team in Georgia. And they said, and he, what we think illegally ordered us to not tell you. Because see, the law says if a lawyer or anybody like that has a subpoena to give your phone records up, they have to actively tell you that they were requested. They have to follow the request, but they have to notify you, and they didn't. So Jack Smith broke the law by ordering them to take his stuff and not tell him. So I believe what they're saying. You know, there's nothing like Democrats breaking the rules and then saying, "Oh no, this was necessary. We had to do this." You know, especially when it's Trump. You know, and this guy, he went after a Republican senator from Alaska. He fabricated evidence. He withheld other evidence. He broke the Brady rules, right, for disclosure, like you know, disclosing to the other team like what you have on as far as evidence, and he convicted an innocent guy, right, and so it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled 9-0. I always say you can't get those 9 people to decide what's for lunch, right, and yet they all ruled that, yeah, it has to be thrown out. And so he expected, after that knowledge, he expected President Trump to appoint him as U.S. attorney out of New Orleans, right? I mean, that's a bunch of horse shit, if you ask me. So, I mean, I believe it when they say that they broke all these rules and whatnot. That's why Jack Smith he's on the chopping block right now.
Yeah, he may be the first.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Here we go. She's back. Caroline Levitt.
Oh, she had her baby?
Yeah, and she's back. So here we go. So it says, she's back. Caroline Levitt torches CNN anchor's shameless gotcha ahead of Trump's address to the nation. There we go. White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt is back from maternity leave and proved all those sleepless nights with a newborn and a toddler haven't slowed her down one bit. During her first press conference, back behind the podium in the briefing room, Levitt handled a variety of questions on Iran, gas prices, and her experience as a new mom in a high-pressure job. The briefing got off to a lighthearted start when Levitt revealed that occupying one of the new media seats was English soccer fan Ben Black, who was curious to know what the White House wanted all these football fans to take away from their time in America. Levitt responded, well, let's just play it.
Going to begin with a few scheduling announcements. Tonight, as you all know, at 9:00 p.m. Eastern, President Trump will deliver a major address to the nation on protecting the integrity of our elections. And we encourage every American to tune in.
Okay, that's the first one. And then we have this.
Caroline, sure. Regarding the president's speech tonight, he's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says is tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone
That's Caitlin Smith, one of the biggest POSs from
been charged?
Well, he hasn't revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet, and you will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward appropriately from there.
Tonight from the Justice Department?
I don't speak on behalf of the Justice Department, Caitlin. You know that. Rachel.
By evidence, will there be charges?
You'll have to ask the Justice Department. I don't charge people. I just speak on behalf of the president. Rachel.
Thanks,
Exactly.
Caroline. Welcome back.
Exactly. Let's see if there's another one.
Yeah, she shuts them down.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that. Hey, Louie, thank you, sir. Cheers from Delaware. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah, what's the next one? Trump.
Right up at the top, that Candace Owens story.
Oh, yeah.
I really still want to know what happened to her.
It's yeah, the alternative to Candace Owens is actually worse. I got one on Meg Kelly, too.
Yeah, but why Candace Owens suddenly?
People don't know, man. They think, well, they think that there's people that paid them to make these turns, but
Well, I mean, that's always
evidence
possible.
yet. I haven't seen evidence yet, but I mean, you have Tucker Carlson, you had Meg Kelly, you had Candace Owens, and there were a couple others that just like completely flipped, like all at the same time. You know, the freedom of expression we take for granted comes with its inherent downsides. The preliminary hearing in the Charlie Kirk murder case debunked pretty much everything Candace Owens has been saying for the last 10 months. The prime suspect, Tyler Robinson, was on campus numerous times. Well, did you see what Data Republicans said about that? Did I read that last week?
I can't remember if it was the Data Republican. We did do something about it last week.
Yeah, that was Data Republic.
I think it was Data
Republic.
Republic.
Kansas. Yeah. The prime suspect, Tyler Robinson, was on campus numerous times. His DNA is tied to items associated with the murder. His roommate and Discord communications gave damning evidence of Robinson admitting that he murdered Charlie Kirk for his views. There was no exploding microphone or Israeli angle or French connection or Egyptian planes. Apparently, Owens made a lot of money from her Kirk musings, and she also implied that Erica Kirk and other associates from TPUSA may have had their role in the events. His own wife, she's saying. So we're watching in real time a mountain revert to a molehill. There was one killer. He admitted his actions. His own parents turned him in. His buddy testified against him, etc. Apparently, there really was no trap door under Kirk's seat from which some nefarious shooter emerged and vanished. One generally does not appreciate a freedom or right until he no longer has it. We learned during COVID that we no longer could go shopping, send our kids to school, congregate, or even stand near one another. I remember the eerie feeling of walking through the empty open market in Jerusalem, where there are thousands of people milling about on a normal weekday. The place was empty, and few sellers and buyers acted as if they were trying to avoid some radioactive material that would harm them if they stood in the same place too long. Candace Owens used various platforms to exercise her right to freedom of speech. Now she may face lawsuits if she slandered or accused people with her words. Time will tell if there will be additional lawsuits and who will win. But let's imagine a system where she could not say what she wanted. Would that system be better? On the one hand, a person might say, yes, her comments may have hurt the Kirk family and also caused many of her followers to hate and disbelieve Ben Shapiro and other people whom she claimed were not Charlie Kirk's real friends. Shapiro recently had a show where he took Owens' approach and applied it to her. But let's imagine the Twitter of old that could shut down an account on a whim. If it decided that Owens did not have a right to express herself, it could do the same to Shapiro or TPUSA. The previous Twitter leadership worked with the FBI and White House under Biden to decide which accounts deserve special attention. Their shutting down the New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop may have changed the election outcome in 2020. Let's imagine the whole Candace Owens story playing out in another country. Let's say that the window of the murdered young man was Vladimir Putin's niece, the widow, sorry. Owens would be arrested by Russian authorities and the platforms would be used would be shut down. Same in China. This then is the price we pay for the behavior of Candace Owens and her friends who supported her. Free speech is for those who misuse it as well. When the Illinois Nazis wanted to march in Skokie, where many Holocaust survivors lived, there was much anger. Some suggested limiting their right to expression. One such person was not my father, who personally experienced Nazi hatred. Once you decide to limit rights, you think that you are only stopping the bad guys until the same laws work against you in the future. The proper approach is the one where we see right now. Many people like Data Republican are comparing Owens's claims regarding the events of Kirk's murder with the evidence so far presented. This is the real power of free speech. The straight shooters get to use it as well. One who is completely hooked on Macron's wife hiring Zionists to fly on Egyptian planes and activate an exploding microphone at the exact moment that some guy sat crouched with a rifle across from Kirk will not be swayed by Ben Shapiro or anyone else. That's what she argued too. That's life. But that one can offer rebuttals and let people think for themselves. This was the goal of the founding fathers. Did Candace Owens enrich herself during the past 10 months? Maybe. But again, the alternative of some great power deciding who gets to speak and what he gets to say is far worse than having people like Owens using their microphone. Remember that lady who was supposed to be Biden's disinformation czar? Disinformation, by their own definition, is anything that they don't particularly like. If at the time You had said that COVID came from a Chinese virus lab, or that the mRNA vaccines were potentially dangerous. She would have gladly and with a smile deplatformed you from Facebook, Twitter, and every other online system. We have no one who can play the role of honest ref without having some personal ideas of acceptable and forbidden speech. YouTube, X, and others all have policies, and whenever someone on the right is shut down, people begin to wonder if their community rules are fair and balanced. Apparently, we need to let people shamelessly harass a young widow to leave it to the courts to fix any legal injustice. She shut down Owens might sound appealing, but who else would be silenced? That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Democracy is messy, and the freedoms we enjoy often lead to conflicting views. Freedom of speech may very well make you feel uncomfortable. The left has often expressed its admiration for dictatorships where one is not allowed to question authority. I believe that it was Tom Friedman, what a jerk, at the New York Times, who wished that Barack Obama would have one day like President Xi of China, where he could do anything and nobody could stop him. The cleanliness of no debate or blowback may sound appealing, but the risks are enormous. If Nina Jankowicz, who was that czar, right, had gotten her speech control job, X would simply be another liberal bastion with no place for conservative or contrarian viewpoints. The official imprimatur of disinformation determined would make it look scientific and impersonal. But it would be the same old, same old. We don't like your views, so we are going to shut you up. That is dangerous. However, we would like political opponents to be neutered and unable to put forth their message. I think better speech, smarter speech is how you stop these people. Okay? Every freedom we enjoy has abusers. For the millions who own and responsibly use personal firearms, there are those who employ guns for crimes. The left would like nobody to have guns, just as they would like to have complete control over social media discussion landscape. But ultimately, a free people will have to deal with those who misuse the freedoms and opportunities we enjoy. Look at all the waste, fraud, and financial abuse uncovered in places like Minnesota and California. People learned to game a system designed to provide governmental money for ostensibly legitimate activities like child daycare and end-of-life hospices. The ones who lied about their numbers and stole government money are like those online who use the freedom to type whatever they so please to slander, lie, misrepresent, and harm others. People expressed their joy at Donald Trump being shot 2 years ago, and today say how happy they are Senator Lindsey Graham died suddenly. Some companies exercise their rights and fire such people. While we don't like to hear their thoughts, the government doing the regulating would eventually shut down our ability to express ourselves as well. Government regulating our speech would be too high a price to pay for the irresponsibility of some number of our fellow citizens. Freedom can't be uncomfortable, or freedom can be uncomfortable. Hear, hear. Yes, hear, hear.
Yeah, freedom of speech is most important when it's speech you don't like.
Yeah, that's supposed to be what freedom of speech is, to protect the speech that you don't like. Yeah, that's what it is. So let me see something. What do we got? The Christians. Yeah, here's a disgusting thing. Hang on. So, Mom Donnie, but this guy's good. I've played him before. This guy is a pastor. So here we go.
Speech this week, he said some things that sent chills down the spines of people who are paying attention. This language he uses right here, bone chilling.
We will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
We're going to replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. Number one, I just want to say, well, hey, brother, rugged individualism built the greatest civilization that humanity has ever seen. And let me just say, the warmth of collectivism has killed 100 million people in the last century. All socialism is communism before it gets guns. That's not a joke. Like, I've read some history books. The more he talks, bro, this guy is like actually dyed-in-the-wool communist ideals. So you got an Islamic socialist elected in the same city where 9/11 happened about 24 years ago. A little insane. So here's a question, Paul Carlos. What is the warmth of collectivism? Well, let me read you a few quotes. The individual is nothing. The collective is everything. Joseph Stalin. The interests of the individual must be subordinate to the interests of the collective. That's Mao. Everything in the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. And by the way, the state is the collective. That was Benito Mussolini. And then you have, we'll replace rugged individualism with collectivism. Sawar Mamdani. He's quoting actual communists who have tried to institute actual communism. You know, what is socialism? What's this got to do with the Bible? Well, a whole lot. The entire Old Testament is based on the concept of personal property rights. Socialism, obviously, the end game of socialism is you'll own nothing and be happy. Well, can I remind you of something called the 10th commandment? You shall not covet your neighbors, and then it lists a bunch of stuff your neighbor. So literally into the Decalogue, one of the 10 commandments is the assumption of personal property rights over against the state being able to infringe those things. The vast majority, if not all, of communist regimes, they're atheistic. So again, the big idea is once you remove God from the picture, there is no authority higher than the government. And once that happens, you remove God, the government becomes God. The government becomes the highest authority in the system. Christians have to learn to think and apply their worldview to governance. Here's why. Because if godly people don't, godless people will. In his
exactly. He's a
You know
communist.
what I'm seeing here? I'm looking at this with the elderly Italian man.
Right.
That sounds interesting. What happened there? I haven't seen this story.
Yeah. Where do you see this? This is really a sad story. It actually is. Let me see. Hold on. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife unless she has an... Oh, Jesus. Okay, there you go.
Unless she has a what?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can't vote your way out of communism. You have to shoot your way out. Yeah, you can vote for communism once.
You don't get to vote out of it.
You're right. Several more just got elected as well. Yeah, I know. That's crazy, huh? So let's do the elderly Italian man. Here we go. Elderly Italian man sentenced to life in prison for defending his family against thugs. Can you believe this? Something disgraceful and horrific just went down in Italy, and you need to know about it because many decent law-abiding Italians believe this was a brazen and heartless move by the communist wing of their government. I thought the prime minister was a family person. Is she still prime minister?
Giorgia Meloni, I think.
Yeah. So
I think she is.
So how did the communist wing of their government? All right, let's find out. It all started when a decent law-abiding man who owned a jewelry store about 31 miles from Turin was confronted by robbers. There's a moment during every violent crime when the victim has no idea whether he and his family are going to live or die. At that moment, the bad guys control all of it, and every decision is made in a split second. Later, from the safety of a courtroom, judges can slow everything down, examine each movement, and decide exactly when the danger supposedly ended. It's basically armchair quarterbacking of a dangerous and scary situation. An Italian man by the name of Mario Ruggiero is now going to prison for the rest of his life because Italy's highest court decided he crossed the line. The 72-year-old jeweler had worked for nearly half a century without a criminal record. Then three men he must have had a record. Then three men entered his family's jewelry store, threatened everyone inside, tied up his daughter, and fled with money and jewelry. Ruggiero followed them into the parking lot and opened fire, killing two and wounding the third. Now, the libnuts will say, well, he wasn't in any danger. So what? They robbed him. They robbed his ass. They threatened him. How does he know that they weren't going to come back into the store and shoot them all? Well, they saw what we look like. Let's go back and kill him. I mean, that's a reasonable argument. The courts ruled that the robbers were already, there you go. The courts ruled that the robbers were already escaping and the immediate threat was already over. Do I know liberals or do I know liberals? His claim of self-defense was flat out rejected. And on July 15, 2026, Italy's Supreme Court of Cassation made his sentence of 14 years and 9 months final. At his age, that is a life sentence behind bars. Americans have different self-defense laws depending on the state, including castle doctrine and stand your ground protections in many parts of the country. Even here, however, the legal argument often turns on whether the threat was still imminent. Ruggiero's case shows how brutally fast the system can turn a terrified crime victim into a defendant once the court decides in the calm and safety of the chamber that the danger had already passed. Too many people watching this case, Ruggiero was a hardworking elderly man reacting to an armed assault on his family, and now he'll spend his final years locked away while the criminals who created the entire nightmare are treated as the victims. Italians are outraged, and many believe the decision came from the hard left communist wing of the government. I'm not going to read that, but let's do this. Here we go.
Figlia con la pistola puntata in viso e i polsi legati. Mia moglie col coltello puntato alla gola e presa a pugni in faccia. A me hanno puntato la pistola in fronte e hanno fatto il ponte alla rovescia dopo una violentissima caduta. E questo non è nulla rispetto a ciò che abbiamo subito io e la mia famiglia durante quest'ultima brutale rapina qui nella mia gioielleria, durante la quale io ho difeso me e i miei familiari, e per questo sono stato condannato a 14 anni e 9 mesi in appello. Era una normale giornata di lavoro per noi, come tutte le altre, per ben 49 anni. Sto passando gli ultimi minuti con i miei familiari prima di costituirmi in carcere. Ho preso atto che i giudici di Roma hanno voluto condannarmi a 14 anni e 9 mesi di reclusione.
Wow. I'm surprised Giorgia Meloni can't pardon him, right? Can't she
maybe
pardon
she will. I don't know.
Do they do that? And I mean, does the executive there in a parliament system?
No idea.
In a parliamentarian system, do they get to pardon someone here from overseas?
Idea.
Tell me. I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah, they should have a pardon because that's what the pardon's for, those people. All right. Wow.
What else we got?
Let's close that out. I want to get another, see if I can do a video commentary on modern women. Nope. Did I do that? Yeah, I did. That was the first one I played. No one would believe it. Here we go. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, here we go. This is good. It's about Islam. Yeah, watch. This is interesting. Okay, ready? Let's redo it.
Watch Richard Dawkins ask the Muslims a question they have a really hard time answering.
As Muslims, we have a right to bring up our children in accordance with our beliefs, which have served us over the centuries well.
Do you teach them that
you may not
apostates
share
should
that.
be punished?
You may not share that, but that is my religion. Do you think that it's wicked? Well, that's your point of view. I know that's going to make him a better human being.
What is the penalty for
apostasy? Thing that you fail to discuss, and that's why you've got those prejudicial views about faith.
What is the penalty for apostasy? What you teach the children will happen to them if they give up the Muslim faith?
Well, let's bring the debate back into Britain.
What is the
and
penalty
we
for
are talking
apostasy?
about-
I would be thoroughly in favour of education in the Bible as literature. You can't understand English literature without the Bible. This is a Christian country. Historically, it's a Christian country. You can't understand English history or English literature without a knowledge of the Bible. The penalty for apostasy in the Christian religion is not death. There is no penalty for apostasy at all in the Christian religion.
It does not prevent me from being open to other religions.
But what is the penalty for apostasy? What is the penalty for leaving the Muslim faith?
To be honest, I cannot back that point up.
Dr. Mukadam, what is the penalty for apostasy?
We keep coming down this apostasy. Give us a quick answer on what is the penalty for apostasy.
You very well know if it's an Islamic country, then the Sharia is very clear. Apostasy is dealt with the death penalty.
Thank you. That's all I want to hear.
But what's the relevance between what happens in an Islamic country and Great Britain? I fail to see the connection.
Muslims want to become majorities and take control of other countries. That's the connection.
Yeah, and then they're going to force Sharia on you, and that's when they'll kill your ass if you don't want to be a Muslim, because their law says, look, you're either going to convert, we kill you, or you pay a tax, or you can leave. Like some not so crazy Muslims say, well, you can leave, or you stay, but you don't want to convert, you pay a tax, or we just kill you. It depends on the brand. That's how they do it. That's just crazy town, if you ask me. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Special K? Hey, you're back, Anglo. What's up, man? Let's see. Let's go over another one. I thought this was funny. Okay, I'm just going to play this. I thought it was funny. It's when your other half wants to help. Okay, here we go. Here you go. What the? Oh. Wow. Look at this.
Now that's funny.
What the heck? Look at this.
That's cute.
When I find myself.
That was funny. I just had to
That's pretty cute.
I thought it was funny. Yeah.
That's pretty cute.
What's up?
Did you play the one who wrote the Quran?
What do you mean? The one who wrote the Quran?
Yeah, who wrote the Quran? It's in your videos.
Okay.
Did we play that one?
Who? I don't think so. Who wrote the Quran? Is Islam true?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this stuff. No, we didn't. I don't think we did, but this is good. This is a Christian guy, who I like. He's been around for a long time. Let's see. Here we go. So we'll redo it.
The Quran is not the word of Muhammad, it is the word of God.
But it was written by Muhammad.
It was not written by Muhammad.
Who wrote it?
Muhammad was illiterate. He didn't know how to write or read.
Who wrote it?
It was the word of God, it was divine word.
You see? It's every single time. They're very consistent. I appreciate it. All right? It is the word of God. And they're very passionate about it. I respect your passion. There's no way you can rationally have a conversation with that. The same way, if you ask me, why do you believe the Bible's the word of God? And I look you in the face and I say, because it's the word of God. Rational discourse has broken down. My second philosophical problem with Islam is my Muslim friends inform me Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are inaccurate. They're perverted gospel.
In fact, it's been changed, they will say.
Right, exactly. So then obviously the next question is, well, where are the unperverted ones? Unfortunately, my Muslim friends cannot produce the unperverted ones. Instead, what my Muslim friends ask me to believe is that a revelation that Muhammad had 500 years after Jesus, which obviously means Muhammad never met Jesus, that book, the Quran, is a more accurate presentation of the historical Jesus than the Gospels written by the eyewitnesses. Well, I'm sorry. Whenever I want to study an historical person, I don't go running to a guy who lived 500 years after the fact. I want to go to the eyewitnesses. I'm not going to trust Martin Scorsese to be my primary source of information about Jesus. Martin Scorsese never met Jesus. Neither did Cecil B. DeMille. I'm going to go back to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, who live in the first century, to be my primary source of information about Jesus. My third philosophical problem with Islam is my Muslim friends have great respect for Jesus. In fact, my Muslim friends respect Jesus far more than the typical American does. My Muslim friends believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, that he ascended to heaven, and that he's coming back a second time. Well, that's far more than the typical American believes about Jesus. But my Muslim friends say that although Jesus speaks the absolute truth, Muhammad also speaks absolute truth. And the problem is they contradict each other on certain points. You cannot have A, be absolute true, and then B, be absolute true, if A and B contradict each other. Because that does nothing then but to allow for C to come along, claiming C is absolute truth, in spite of the fact that C contradicts both B and A. You cannot have an absolute truth contradicted by another absolute truth.
Did Jesus ever claim to be God?
Yeah, he sure did. John 8:58, Jesus says, before Abraham was born, I am. In John 10:30, Jesus says, I and the Father are one. In John 14:9, Jesus says, he who has seen me has seen the Father. Clearly, Jesus claimed to be God.
So he was both human and God at the same time?
That's what he claimed. Maybe he was a lunatic, but that's what he claimed.
He wasn't a lunatic. He was a prophet.
Well, he claimed to be God in human form, which means he's more than a prophet. He's
Right,
God
he
in
wasn't
human
a prophet.
form.
But
That's what he claimed.
God is something that's superior to human form, so it doesn't make sense for God to be human because he wouldn't necessarily be higher than the other.
All right, first point is God is not something. The Bible insists that God is someone, a personal being. And it's totally possible for a personal being who's the creator to humble himself and become a human being.
The Quran is not.
Yeah, he tried to interrupt them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually he's much more sharp than he was there. So I don't know what's going on with that. Now, do the contradictions in the Bible. Yeah. Women aren't supposed to wear lipstick. Yeah, I know all that. Jesus never had a revelation. Exactly. Well, Jesus didn't have epilepsy and call it a revelation. Yeah. Hunter, you legend. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. That's this guy. Yeah, I used to watch some of his stuff. He's older now, but he's pretty good. He was like Charlie Kirk before Charlie Kirk was Charlie Kirk, but he only did religious things.
He seems to have a very excellent knowledge and command of Bible.
Well, he should. He's been doing it for a very long time. He's what's known as an apologist. I'm so sick of these Philistines parading unholy alliance with Transdiffatite. Yeah. All right, let's do another one. It wasn't recorded. I don't want to believe it. World War.
Would life be lifting?
Here's one. It's a world war, but you don't see it. This is from Promethean Action. I like these women, so I'm going to play it. Ready?
Show you something about this war which no one else is even talking about. Because from the standpoint of America's enemies, this conflict isn't about Iran at all. Energy is the real dictator of the world. Stable energy is the lifeblood of any economy. Since the petrodollar market began in 1971, oil and gas prices and availability have determined any nation's economic success or failure. But sovereign nations have little to say about any of the pricing or availability. Under that scheme, the Gulf states and Russia produce the oil and gas while profits flow to the city of London. London set the contracts and the prices, pricing everything in dollars, secured a cut in the United States. Peter Navarro documented Iran's role in this looting scheme. Its terrorism added what he calls a tear premium to Gulf profits flowing to London and Wall Street. In return, the Mullins and the IRGC poured millions into London real estate rather than their own people. That's why the UK refused to militarily support the war. By the early 2000s, America's shale revolution, however, made the U.S. self-sufficient in oil and gas. Biden's Green New Deal aimed to destroy that independence by slashing production. The Ukraine war aimed at regime change in Russia and control of its oil, gas, and mineral wealth served the same goal. As the Trump administration has said repeatedly, the goal was the managed decline of Western civilization. At Davos in February, Marco Rubio called on Europe to return to its own values, its history. He said deindustrialization was a conscious policy choice. Since the day he returned to office, Donald Trump has focused on overturning this entire globalist energy system. He massively increased U.S. oil and gas output. We withdrew entirely from the Green New Deal in all its aspects, and Trump ended billions in Ukraine war funding while seeking peace there. He has rewired energy markets through the Iran conflict, smashing the petrodollar scheme and clearing the way for sovereign trade between nations. These moves have even pushed Mark Carney to admit the old order is finished, kaput. The UK and Europe, the centers of that old order, are collapsing. Volkswagen just cut 100,000 jobs in Germany. The Economist warns that limited gas access could crash Europe's economies this winter.
Yep.
Europe's populations are in revolt, with opposition parties leading the polls in the UK, France, and Germany. But their insane leaders insist that continuing the Ukraine war is an economic revival strategy. That's the real war going on right now, in which Iran plays only a significant bit part.
Yeah. These women have Anglo, thank you, brother. Says, I'm I'm going to lose my shit, Rich, if I hear the oxymoron Judeo-Christian values again. Well, they say that here because it was a Judeo-Christian way that we lived here for years and years and years.
Yeah, like 10 Commandments sort of thing. You know.
Here's a little thing. There was at Valley Forge. I don't know if you guys heard the story of Valley Forge, but in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, which is not far from where I live, there was one winter that George Washington had his men, and they were, laying out there waiting for movements in the war and waiting for it to get a little bit warmer. And so were the Brits, you guys on the other side. And the guys were like, their boots were worn, they were freezing, they had no blankets or anything. When in Philadelphia, which was a while away back then by horse ride, there was a variety store on Broad Street in Philadelphia, near Independence Hall, as a matter of fact. And the variety store actually donated throughout the entire thing blankets, wood to build fires, clothing, socks, boots, stuff like that. And it was a Jewish family, and they didn't want anybody to know. But what became interesting to me later on to find out is that this was the family of Larry Fine. Do you know who Larry Fine is? He was Larry of Moe, Larry, and Curly of the Three Stooges.
That's right. I was going to say, I know the
family
name.
owned that store, that variety store.
I know the name.
Yeah, and back then they donated like a lot of shit to Washington's cause. So I thought that was interesting. A nice little sidebar there.
A tangent, if you will.
Yes. New York
What
City.
is this life be lifting? It looks like it's an amusing. When life be lifting.
Yeah, let me say. Pulling it up.
Like,
oh yeah, this is freaking hilarious, guys. I loved this. I just put up a lot of ones that I think are.
Shall we lighten it up for the end of the show here?
Yeah. Let's do. It's not very long at all. It's just hilarious, I think. Right. So life is lifting. Right, here we go.
It's a beautiful morning. There he is. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Hold on now. Hey, come on now. Come on now. Wait.
That was awesome. I'll probably have to cut that music out because somebody has a content idea. I just thought that was hilarious.
I'm just sitting here going, what?
Yeah, you're defining life, right?
Yeah.
Because life, it's great. And then all of a sudden, every little angle of life hits you and
Everything
beats the
comes
hell
at
out of
you,
you.
yeah.
Everything beats the hell out of you.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool. Who despises us? Who? They killed Jebus. Who? The Jubas? Did Jesus abolish Mosaic law? I think he did, because he said, guys, that shit you guys been doing for 450 years. Yeah, we're not going to do it that way anymore. And that's why they killed him, because he came out and said, I am the Lamb of God. And they said, that's blasphemy. What happened? What I believe happened was the Jews took Mosaic law, and then what were they called? The priests, I forget what they were called, not Pharisees. I forget what they were called. Anyway, so they just had to, like a Democrat, they had to justify their existence. So for 450 years, they made all these crazy laws, right? And so, you ever read the laws of the Bible? Holy crap! That little clip of music won't get you bothered. Yeah, I would, Jim. I got dings for even shorter bits of that. They ding you now, but they allow you, actually, to their credit, YouTube will allow me to keep the segment but remove the music. They have that technology.
They allowed up to 15 seconds.
Not anymore. If there's a content ID, forget about it. You even have it up there for 5 seconds, you're done. Yeah. But I forget what we were talking about. Something about the Jews. Anglo Rich is a bit slow with the chat. Yeah, okay. That's funny. Let me see. LOL, more front than Myers. The Pharisees. Oh, yeah. Thank you. And I think that they created like so many laws that people were like, they're looking at it and they go, holy crap, I don't think we're allowed to go to the bathroom anymore. That's what happened. And so Jesus comes along and says, no, we're not going to do things that way. Now we're going to do love your mother, and, honor your mother and father, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, and all that, and the Beatitudes and all that on the Sermon on the Mount. And so that's what he said. And that really threatened the hierarchy of the Jewish church. And in fact, I don't know if you know this, but in those times, the BC times, there were the different levels in the Jewish church. You had at the top of that sect was the top guy for the entire sect. Okay. And he was known as a father. He was they called him father, right? And then right below him were the ambassadors, or bishops, if you will, right? So they were the ones that they would be ambassadors, that they would spread the word of the sect and the Torah, okay? And they were known as the sons, okay? And then the high priests were the next level, and everybody below that, who cares, right? So the high priests were the lowest, yes. The high priests were the lowest of the high people, and they were called spirits. And so when Emperor Constantine said to make up dogma, if you're so upset that you don't have any, so they called the Council of Nicaea, and one of the things they took was the Holy Trinity of the Father, Son, and Spirit, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. They stole that from the Jewish church because they were all Jews at the time. They were now breaking free from it, right? And so I know it was so many years later, but that's what they were doing. I'm not a bum. I'm a jerk. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I don't know why you're saying that, but cock choppers, no better than, yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Ever see The Jerk with Steve? Yeah. The only thing I need is this bag. The only thing I need is this bag and this box of popcorn. The only thing I need, whatever the hell he was talking about. Come on, shithead. Who? I have no idea. Okay. We got time for one more video. We like the big boys, the goal scoring. Yeah, this is good. This is good. This was, you guys love your football, right? This was Erling Haaland, I think his name is. But this is a great little video. Here we go. Okay, watch. This is good.
Oh, you're gonna
This
have
is what
to
I
cut
like
that
watching.
music.
Of soccer. I like watching the highlights.
You're gonna have to cut the music.
What?
You're gonna have to cut that music.
Why?
Thunderstruck?
Oh yeah. All right. Wow. You know what? They're gonna hit. All right, that was it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. It helps. And I appreciate it. Let me see. Do we have something here? I don't know. What do we have going on? All right. How many? We got 16, 17. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Thank you for being here. Let me see. What are you saying? What's he saying? Viking. Hold on. Sorry, Erling. You Viking warrior. My people finally done you at Stamford Bridge in 1066. There you go. Anglo versus the Viking. Yeah. But the very best thermos that you can buy. That's funny. To be sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Love you all. I'll talk to you next week. We will be back. See you tomorrow, 40. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Have a great weekend. Watch the videos, please. Thank you. I'll see you guys. Take care, man. Bye.